It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig. You decide when you lose, not other people. And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. Today, with a special Super Nintendo Appreciation Roundtable with DDayCobra, Dan Vasc, and Jonny Arnett. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whoa, welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and Twitch and Spotify and everywhere else on the freaking earth. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. Man, is it a good show. I'm Stuttering Craig. Here we are, ready to go. God, I am excited for today. You guys have showed up. You're ready to roll. It is all about the Super freaking Nintendo today. You got a bunch of old heads sitting around talking about the good old days, with the lone exception being Blabs. Hello, Blabs. Good afternoon, good evening, good evening, whatever. How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't born when this came out.
Also joining us today, Dan Vasc. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I was born when this came out. How are you doing?
I don't know if, Blabs, just say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
All right, there you go. She'll be back later if we need her. But Dan, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Very excited to talk about the Super Nintendo today. It's not random that I have it on my background every single stream. This is my childhood. Excited.
Look at that. Look at it.
There you go. Complete inbox. Complete inbox.
Wow,
there you go. And a few complete inbox games, too.
Oh, maybe we'll need to get you to roll on over there and bring some of those bad boys over. There you go. That'd be great.
Let's go. I'll put it out for you, Craig. I'll put it out for you.
You pull it out for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go. People getting a little hot. People getting a little hot and sweaty over here. Speaking of hot and sweaty, it's Jonny. Hello, Jonny. How are you?
I am doing well. I was barely born when this came out, so I don't have my usual pretty backdrop, but I brought this with me, and I've been playing it nonstop. I'm so ready for this stream, dude. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is definitely a complete departure from what we usually do. But things have been going so hard lately, man. It's been so hard that there's been so much nonsense happening in the world, and you know what? Sometimes it's good just to sit back, put your hands back behind your head like Dan Vasc, flex those biceps, and just enjoy the nostalgia of the Super Nintendo. My God. Speaking of putting his hands back and just relaxing all cool, man, the coolest guy in the world, possibly. It's Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers.
That's a lie. That's a lie. But I'm just here for my Zombies Ate My Neighbors appreciation stream right there. Just bringing it in, all right? I mean, come on. But yes, Super Nintendo, the greatest system ever made. Happy to be here. And yeah, I'm not even going to mention wokeness or identity politics once during the stream. It's going to be all about the greatness of the Super Nintendo.
You're right. That's
Johnny. What, Johnny?
That's it. Well, that was once.
That was one.
Only once.
Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one. There you go.
But shout out to the 199. I see all of you in the chat. So let's go.
199 coming in and representing. So the question today for the chat, obviously, and we're gonna. This is an ongoing conversation throughout the day with the chat. Is what is your favorite game on the Super Nintendo? Not what, but specifically why. So I want to hear what your favorite game is. It was Legend of the Mystical Ninja, and why? Because I played it at my cousin's house for 3 hours one day, and I want to hear specifically why. For me, video games are I talked about this last night. I was on Nina Infinity stream, and we were talking about games, and I'm not a huge single player adventure guy. With those single player narratives, games to me are always a communal experience, and I think this time period with the arcades and the Super Nintendo really kind of honed me into the person that I like, literally the person, not just the gamer, but the person that I am. And so for me, the Super Nintendo is S tier for sure when it comes to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get into all this fun stuff, by the way, we're gonna today on the show we will have a major trivia questions for you guys. We will be having a full game show to test your video game knowledge, as well as obviously the chats as well. So you guys get out your video game knowledge hats, pop them on, and be ready to go. We're going to be talking obviously Super Nintendo all day, But I also want to remind you, we are live over at Rumble at rumble.com/sidestrollers. Join us over there. Hit the follow button if you like the free speech stuff and common sense. It's what we do. It's what we like. We also have a Twitter account. You can follow us and get clips and all sorts of stuff over there, notified when we're live, new guests coming up. And we also have an Instagram, don't we, Blebs?
We do. We're almost at 800. Hurry up and follow us.
There we go. We're live over on Kick, and you can also listen to the audio version of the show over on Spotify. So please join us over there. We passed 55,000 subscribers overnight, which is spectacular. Thank you guys very much. Our goal was 50,000 by the end of the year. We're 5,000 over that. So let's just make it a cool 60. So do us a favor, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Join us Monday through Friday. If you are if part of the 199, join us after GT Daily, man. We're a nice little post show for the boys over there. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button, and of course, we're going to do our best to get to 20 memberships today. You guys obviously are beyond excited to talk Super Nintendo today because right off the bat, Randy freaking Jonny, maybe Janie, Randy came in, says can't watch until the replay, but want to congratulate Dan on 900,000 subscribers. Wow. And also crossing 5,000 subs on Super Vasc 3D. Look at Dan. Also, super stoked that Man of War contacted you about their cover contest. I'm so excited for you, and you deserve all the success coming your way. Well done.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have some contacts in Magic Circle Music, which is Man of War's record label, and we talked about my Man of War tribute album that's gonna come out that I'm working in, and I have a blasting. So that's very cool.
So real quick, people are saying in the chat that is my mic that's the issue, or is it all of the mic that's the issue?
I think you sound like you might be coming off of a webcam, and it just noticed that. It's not too bad though. It's definitely not too bad.
Well, I'll go back in. Let's see. I'm coming straight through a USB mic, my normal bad boy son of a gun that I have here. Check this out.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, the call, it's definitely the mic.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit. So it's everybody. So it's probably a StreamYard issue, which sucks.
StreamYard does suck. StreamYard sucks.
Well,
it does. It's really annoying.
We're gonna get into the Rumble Studio beta here very quickly. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. We'll experiment with that.
Is that a software by Rumble?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's basically a StreamYard's their version of StreamYard's OBS. Well, I won't say it's a replacement for OBS yet because you can't like stream games, I don't think, through it, but panel streams, things like that. And you can link it to other platforms, so all of your comments, so like your YouTube comments, your Rumble comments, your Twitch comments, your Kick comments are all filtered in one comment section, so you can see all of your comments in one feed.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And
it's exciting to see those guys growing.
Yeah, and they're going to give you sponsorship opportunities directly into like integrated right into it, which is very, very cool.
Wow.
So, yeah. Randy, thank you so much. Look at it, Randy. Look at it right there. Right there. Put you right next to you.
Look at it.
Bam. All right, excellent. Look, there's going to be a lot of conversation, a lot of super chats coming already, guys. Thank you very much. We'll get to those in just a little bit as they, those bad boys come in, which is great. Shifty Eyed Ninja also gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Let's go, Shifty Eyed Ninja. Greatly appreciate that. That is spectacular. Okay, so we're going to get to super chats in just a little bit. We appreciate any and all support you guys have coming in today because, like, it's very hard to go from talking about gaming and gaming news and entertainment news and culture and all those things to be like, well, we're just going to take a slight detour and talk about the Super Nintendo, a console that hasn't been out for 30 years. But you know what? Fuck that. We can do that because it's our show and we can do what we want. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off here, gentlemen. I want to talk first off about the history and specifically your history with the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo came out in the United States in 1991. I was 10 years old at that time. I remember personally seeing the Super Nintendo for the first time in a Target and having a demo kiosk where you could play Super Mario Kart in particular, Mario Kart. And anybody who knows me knows that I am pretty much God tier when it comes to battle mode on Super Nintendo Mario Kart. I've like lost to like one person in my life. It's
He's
ridiculous.
lying.
No.
I want to see that battle. that heads up needs to happen.
I'm pretty spectacular. But with that said, I very much vividly remember sitting there and waiting to play and checking out. When was the first time you guys saw or experienced, or I guess was socially conscious of the Super Nintendo? Let's start with Dan.
It was actually the first video game I've ever seen and I ever got to experience in my whole life. I was born in '89, but Brazil back in those days was even more like late in terms of technology. So the first time I saw Super Nintendo was already in '95, and it was at my grandma's place, and it belonged to my cousin, and it was like the concept of video games to me was amazing. I have never seen it. It was like it's a cartoon that you're watching on TV, but you control it. And I remember the very first game that I ever saw, and I have it right there. It's complete box.
Pull it up. Let's see.
It was this game that my cousin was playing when I first saw the Super Nintendo, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. So it was like, it's a Mickey Mouse cartoon that I control.
Yep.
And it was like, it was absolutely insane.
Has everybody played that game before?
Yes.
I played it a little bit back in the day.
It's by Capcom. Back in those days, Capcom was responsible for the most of the Disney games. And the other game I played on that weekend, I don't have it complete in box here, but I have a copy there, was Donkey Kong Country 2. Yes. And it was just fantastic. I have those songs of that soundtrack for the first few stages like ingrained in my memory, and it's just something, you know, when you hear something and immediately like, oh my god, back when life was completely like a bubble of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it just brings me back to that bubble for a few moments, and it's just like, yeah, that's pretty much my history with the Super Nintendo. And then after that, I bugged my dad until he bought our own, and yeah, it was my childhood.
Jeremy, what about you? When was the first time you remember seeing the Super Nintendo?
So I actually was all in on the Genesis when it first came out because I was a sports gamer.
You know, that's actually really important because the Genesis was known. They really dug into the sports game.
Absolutely. Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, bro. It was a game changer for me.
Buster Douglas football, Buster Douglas boxing. These were games that were prominently featured in the Genesis Does commercial.
Yes, absolutely. And so I was big into sports at that point in time. Now, I had a Nintendo Entertainment System. I loved my Nintendo Entertainment System. That was my introduction into video games. And then the Genesis came out prior to the Super Nintendo in the US. And so Sega does what don't. The Joe Montana Sports Talk Football was the selling point for the Genesis, and then you had Pit Fighter, obviously Sonic. Those are some of the release titles, and I loved these games. My next door neighbor got a Super Nintendo, and I went over there, and I saw Super Mario World, and my life changed. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And I had to go back to my parents. I'm like, yeah, I really want a Super. No, we got you the Genesis. And so I spent all of my time over at my neighbor's house playing Super Mario World because I didn't have a Super Nintendo because I had the Genesis. And I loved my Genesis, don't get me wrong. But the Super Mario World was the game changer for me. And, you know, as someone that played the first Super Mario Brothers, I even played Super Mario Brothers 2 and loved it back in the day, even though it was such a departure. And then obviously Mario 3 took it to another level. But then you saw Super Mario World with Yoshi, you know, and all the secrets. And so that was my introduction to it. And from that point forward, I spent more time at my neighbor's house playing his Super Nintendo. And then eventually I was able to get a Super Nintendo myself. And I'll get into it a little bit later, but that's my introduction to Mario Kart, which I've fell in love with and been a massive Mario Kart player for all of these years. But yeah, that was my introduction right there.
So, you mentioned Super Mario World being the game changer. I have trivia that I was going to do an entire trivia show, but I'm going to take this opportunity and ask you guys, and this is for the chat as well. Can y'all name the Super Nintendo launch titles?
Super Mario World, Pilot Wings. I remember Pilot
Jonny?
Wings.
Any idea, Dan?
I know.
Yeah, Super Mario World is a given.
Mm-hmm.
Pilot Wings.
F-Zero was a release title.
The Super Nintendo, what's amazing about Super Nintendo is it launched with 2 games.
Oh.
Super Mario World and F-Zero.
What about Pilot Wings?
Pilot Wings came shortly after. But it
Okay.
actually, like, now they have launch windows right now, but when the Super Nintendo actually launched day one, there were 2 games available for
I
it.
thought it was Pilot Wings. I really thought it was Pilot Wings in Super Mario World.
Raziel points out there's also Sim City as well. That came very shortly after the release. So yeah, but Pilot Wings was there. For me, and Jonny, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Jonny, what were your initial? You said you were just a wee tiny lad when the Super Nintendo came out.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I was
ahead.
born in '89 along with Dan, but basically all my favorite things in life came from my dad. And so he was a huge gamer, like already. So we had the NES, and I was like 2 years old when the SNES came out. And so immediately I was able to pick those up. So it's like my first memories, it's like those are like my first memories in general. You know, it's like Super Mario World, Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country, all that stuff. And so Super Mario World was one we played a lot. I specifically remember hooking up the Game Genie, putting in the invincibility and the Mega Jump code, and just running that over and over and over again. And so I spent a lot of time speed running with all the invincibility cheats on. And so that's probably where it goes back to for me. Turtles in Time was another one that we played a lot. Yeah, me and my dad played it a lot. So good. So good. I've got so many games to list, but no, that was kind of my introduction. It was my introduction to life. So
Okay. Well, Jonny, you said something that actually is kind of drove me crazy because I think you said the SNES. Or say,
oh, you're one of those. Okay.
Right.
I was also thinking about
You
that.
want me
I
to
was
say
about-
the
I was about
SNES?
to- Yeah, I was about to ask the panel.
What
do you say?
Yeah. What is the official name, Jeremy? What is the official name that you said your entire life?
SNES.
SNES.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or Super
And-
Nintendo. Yeah, I never called it the SNES.
Okay,
Although there's a good channel out there called SNES Drunk. Okay. I don't
Yes,
know.
SNES Drunk is awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
SNES Drunk is a great channel, but I never
Yes.
called it SNES. I called it SNES.
SNES drunk.
Yes.
I always said Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, from what I understand, SNES was a very European way of saying it. Like everybody in
I
the
noticed
UK said that, and Americans said SNES.
Mhm.
Johnny.
Aren't you busy guys with places to be and things to get done? Say SNES. Save yourself some time. What's the deal?
For me, it was always Super Nintendo. I would say it with my chest.
Yeah.
It's Super Nintendo. You know,
Yeah.
Come on, what are you talking
Well,
about?
and honestly, and you have to understand this too, because the time frame is important to like, because this is where Jonny was a little bit younger, so he didn't experience it. When you said Super Nintendo, it carried some fucking power, okay? Because this was not the Nintendo, this was the Super Nintendo.
Damn right.
Yeah.
And that mattered when you said that. You know what I mean? You was almost judged on it because you didn't go to school. You didn't go to school and talk about Nintendo. You went to school to talk about the Super Nintendo.
Now you're playing with Super.
Yeah, basically you pull a Vince McMahon, the Super Nintendo.
Okay, what's really funny about this is I was in Mr. Chambers' class. Okay, and this is how it was back in the day. I think I was in 5th grade when it came out, and there wasn't like launch days. I'm sure there were, and the launch of the Super Famicom was actually a very big deal. I want to get into that trivia here in a little bit, but specifically in the as a 10-year-old, you're not really conscious of like launch games and launch titles and stuff when you're in 5th grade, specifically in like 1991. And I remember being in Mr. Chambers' class, and this girl Melissa, whose last name will be redacted. Melissa came in and was like, I have the Super Nintendo. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's not even out yet. And I didn't believe Melissa. And I was like, I just don't believe what you're telling me. Yeah, and I don't believe you. I won't believe you until you bring in an instruction manual to something so I can have proof that you have it. So sure enough, the next day she brings in the instruction booklet to Super Mario World, and I'm like, what? And I just couldn't. I was like, even the instruction booklets are better. This is so great. And I remember that was just like such a wow moment for me. In as formative little Craig. All right, so we talked about our first impressions of it. It had a pretty, I think most people think that the Super Nintendo has probably one of the best game libraries in video game history.
Absolutely.
Let's go around the horn, and we'll start with you, Jeremy, this time. Top 3, top 5, just off the top of your head, games that you can turn to at all times and play.
I mean, Super Mario Kart is going to be the obvious answer because, and I think Super Mario Kart with the Mode 7 graphics, and if people like when Mode 7 was introduced, that was like, it was basically the ability for the background to move to give you a whole different perception, and it was something that the Genesis or no other gaming console could do, and that's how F-Zero and Super Mario Kart were like. The game changed with those when you would play those racing games and the background was moving, it changed the whole perception of how the game felt, and that's why those games were so different. So Super Mario Kart is going to be the obvious answer for me. I think Super Mario World is arguably the greatest game ever made. I still have it right there at the top. For the longest, Super Metroid was the best Metroid for me until Dread. And I know people are probably going to disagree with me on that, and I'm fine with that because I think Super Metroid is a perfect game. I'm gonna Zombies Ate My Neighbors is something that it's a game that doesn't get mentioned a lot, and it should. And I'm talking about all-time great games. All of us know about Zombies Ate My Neighbors. You know what I mean? I'm sure most people in the chat know about Zombies Ate My Neighbors, but that is such a phenomenal game. And if you play through it, it's got such personality to it. And so, I mean, the list goes on. I can name the Donkey Kong Country games because Donkey Kong Country, when Donkey Kong Country came out, Donkey Kong Country, like Donkey Kong was just like a mascot. He wasn't really like, he had the games back in the day, but like he wasn't a major player. Donkey Kong Country, when that came out, changed the game. Contra, is it Contra 3? Is that the Alien Wars? And Alien Wars Contra? Oh, and Turtles in Time, as you just mentioned, which is objectively one of the great games.
We need a top 10, Craig. We need a top 10.
I know, dude. Like, there's so many games to mention right now. And then that's not even adding all of the RPGs and the Square games, Chrono Trigger. All right, I'm sorry. I don't want to name every fucking game because everybody else has to name theirs. But yeah, man. The list goes on and on and on with the Super Nintendo. And by the way, I do have a Super Nintendo in the box. I'm in Orlando right now, so it's in my Pensacola office. But I do have the Super Nintendo in the box with all of like the original Super Nintendo in the box with all of the packaging, all of the instructions, everything. I have that.
Yep. Man, that's good stuff. Golly, there's so good. So Johnny, you mentioned
I intentionally left a link to the past off so Johnny can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, you mentioned a list. I actually thought so back in the old ScrewAttack days, we used to do top 10s, but for the Super Nintendo, we did a top 20. And I think there was actually 21 games on our list of the top 20. And I thought for a second about possibly like going through and like watching that old list with you guys.
That would be cool, actually.
I'd be down.
Okay, dude, I love the Screw. So again, I watched ScrewAttack back in the day. When Craig reached out to me, I was like, "What? Craig knows who I am?" Because I used to watch ScrewAttack top 10s back in the day. I love the ScrewAttack top 10s. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy messaged me. He was like, "You won't believe who contacted
I did.
You didn't message me. You called me."
I did. And Dan told me for the first time ever, he's like, "I finally respect you for the first time, Jeremy." Craig.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we can do that a little later. But I need to stop the show really quick and let you know that Shamsa directly donated $500.
Wow.
$500 with the message, check your Discord. which I have, and I'm about to blow your mind. Blow your mind, because Shamsa is a big collector. Shamsa has all of the stuff, like all of it. But before I show you what Shamsa has sent me, first I want you guys to look at it right there. Right
Woo!
Look at it!
Look at it.
Going right next to Randy. Boom! Shamsa, love it. Okay, what I'm about to show you guys is about to blow your stinking mind, Shamsa. Thank you again for the ridiculous support. Can I get some crowns, please, in the chat for Shamsa? This is crazy, and I don't even know how to. Well, I can tell you exactly how to describe it, but I've never actually seen this before. This is, and Shamsa owns this, a prototype of the Super Nintendo controller.
Oh.
Look at this.
I've seen. Yes, I've seen that.
They were going the 6-button route, huh?
Wow.
I mean, it looks
It's
like the Genesis controller,
ugly.
It
right?
does. It does.
Yeah, it's ugly as shit.
It's the Super Nintendo version of the Duke controller.
yeah,
Right.
for the Xbox.
This is horrendous.
Yeah, that I don't like that at all.
Well, and you look it actually has a reverse. I was trying to pull out a Super Nintendo controller, but if you look at the actual controller itself, the way it finished, this is actually the reverse way of how
It's
you
inverted.
hold the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's inverted.
Yeah.
Right. Which is crazy.
Man, if they would have stuck with this, that would have like changed video game history. Like your entire controller button layout and stuff from that point on, it would have been different. We'd probably have the start and select different.
Sorry, I didn't notice if there were shoulder buttons.
I don't
think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
You know, yeah,
They
actually there are.
moved-
Look.
Oh
Right
yeah,
here.
there are.
Oh
Right here.
yeah, so there's two extra buttons compared to what we have today.
Dude, that's
we
that's a boomerang. Like that's what that
Yeah.
is. That's pulled straight out of Link to the Past. That's your boomerang. You stun
That's a
enemies with that.
That's a hell of a score right there to have that. Wow.
Yeah.
But the short buttons were something that really revolutionized the video game controller forever. Shorter buttons became the norm. We wouldn't have shooters as we know them today if it weren't for shorter buttons.
Yep. Yeah, that was
is
a
crazy.
big deal. Because
Yeah.
like it's so like because I mean, for those that didn't really play the NES back in the day, man, the controller now looking back on the NES, like it's like how the hell did we play video games on that thing? Back in the day, though, it was a perfect controller. It was a perfect controller.
Which is funny that you say that, Jeremy, because I know you love, Metroid Dread. My dad loved Metroid NES. He didn't have Super Metroid. I ended up playing that many years later. So then I was like, hey, Pops, you got to try Metroid Dread. It's like a shout out, to the original Metroid. And he was so freaking overwhelmed by the amount of buttons he had to press to play Metroid.
yeah.
He's like, like I need an A button and a B button and a D-pad. Like that's all I need.
Yeah,
Couldn't do it.
4 extra buttons compared to the NES.
Yep.
Four extra buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had like
There
an
we
Emmy
go.
show up and had an anxiety attack because he didn't know what button to hit.
So to put that in perspective, I got out the original NES controller, right? And this is obviously the SNES classic controller, but it's pretty much intact, right? So this is the old
It's the
school
same,
controller, right? And the blockiness of this, when you hold this now, you can feel your finger almost like wrap around on the outside here, and it feels very dainty and small in your hand. And when you look in comparison to the size of the two, they're pretty comparable, but the contoured nature of the two, of the way it wraps around, was still the shoulder buttons. It's the same effect of having the shoulder buttons up here. But I'll tell you what, Johnny, you're talking about your dad. Like that is very intimidating for people who have never. When you go for, you think about the change of design of video game controllers, going from the Atari or the Pong, or a Pong with maybe a simple
wheel,
one joystick, or maybe rotating titty twister, to the idea of, well, this moves up, down, left, and right, and this one jumps and this one runs. To okay, now you have all these buttons. You got one up here, one up here, one over here, and to it where eventually you have a million inputs on. It's insane. It's insane.
It is.
I still remember experiencing it personally and gradually. Like I remember going from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64 being like, what the hell is this analog stick doing on my Nintendo console? And then after that, later, when you have, wait, there's 2 shoulder buttons. This is too much. Like, I was seriously in protest mode. Like, we have too many buttons on controllers now. We need only 2 shoulder buttons.
Well, and that's how I still feel that way to this day. Like with the Xbox Elite controller, it's like there's because I'm fine with I prefer the PlayStation controller at this point over the current Xbox controller. Although the 360 controller to me is probably one of the best controllers ever made. But yeah, with the Elite, it's like there's a few too many buttons on there for me, for my comfort level. I know a lot of people love the Elite controllers, but the same kind of mindset exists there for me.
Yeah, you have like 4 more buttons like behind the controller.
Yeah, it's a mess. Oh, let's bring it back to good controllers and good games. Jonny, okay, Jeremy listed off some of his games. Your top Super Nintendo games off the top of your head.
God, I really wish I had a top 10, but I think top 3, it has to be Link to the Past. Has to be Super Mario World. Like your top 3 is objectively wrong if it doesn't have Super Mario World in it.
Yes.
Link to the Past, and it's that last spot.
This is where it gets tough, bro.
I know that last spot. I think I got to give it to Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, dude, I thought you were gonna say Turtles in Time. I thought you were gonna say
I like Turtles in Time. I love it, but Donkey Kong Country, man, it takes me back. It made me fall in love with the jungle aesthetic, the music. It's just like it puts you in this weird, like the nostalgia is so overpowering in that game. It's beautiful. And the funny thing is, like the second and third one afterwards, the third one kind of gets slept on. I love all 3 of them. I think they're all fantastic.
Dude, Donkey Kong Country 3 is amazing.
Yeah. The one thing that's missing about Donkey Kong Country, the first one, that one gives me the most nostalgia, but it doesn't have all the the bonus coins and the DK coins and all that. That kind of collectathon aspect was really missing from the first one.
2 is the better game, but I have more fond memories of of Donkey Kong Country 1, but 2 is the better game. It's kind of that's kind of how I look at it. So.
I remember being an angry kid with the second and third one, being like, we got to stop calling it Donkey Kong Country with no Donkey Kong.
Right?
Like, like it's ridiculous. I'm rescuing him now. This is disrespectful. Like,
yeah.
That was the intention, by the way. Did you know that? They were kind of making fun of Donkey Kong because there was some falling off between Rare and Nintendo. They were like, "Oh yeah, now our characters, our original characters, are gonna save your Nintendo character."
Can you confirm this?
Look that up. There's something like this.
Labs, look it up.
Labs, look at that story.
Dan Vasc is getting fact checked live. I love
fact check.
Look that shit up.
But that's a known story. The chat knows.
Listen.
Exactly.
Blast wasn't listening. She was over there looking up, farting around.
Just go back 30 seconds.
Blabs, we need to find out if in Donkey Kong Country 3, rescuing Donkey Kong was a kind of slap in the face or kind of a subtle shot at Nintendo.
You rescue him in 2 and 3. You rescue him in 2 and 3.
I think it's better if you research why don't you play with Donkey Kong on Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah.
Just research that.
Go crazy. Let us know when you got it. There you go.
I will say, Jeremy gave a couple shout outs to some underrated ones. You guys might appreciate this. Did you guys ever play Cybernator?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, that game is bad. Oh, you two, I don't know how to do it. You two need to play it because Cybernator, that game is so good. Yeah, you basically just play as this big mech with all these different machines, shoot 'em up type game. It's challenging. I remember there was one part specifically of the game I'm like, I felt like I couldn't get past it. I did eventually. But Cybernator was good. Everybody talks about NBA Jam. The sports fans, NBA Jam. For me, the best one of all out of them all was NBA Hang Time. NBA Hang Time was great, was incredible.
Hang Time was great
because you could like customize your characters. You could play as an alien. You could play as a werewolf, and it was big in a lot of ways for like the sports gaming genre because you could like upgrade your characters throughout the season. You know, you'd have to beat all 29 teams in the NBA, and you'd get attributes like after 3 games. So do you want to put it to his speed? Do you want to put it towards his jumping? Do you want to put it to his strength? You know, so that was a big game too. I love NBA Hang Time.
Yeah,
so good.
Absolutely. Well,
the beautiful thing about games, sports games in particular of that era, is you didn't need to enjoy the sport to play those games.
That is true.
And you know, the arcade aspect of them was I can't even play a simulation sports game because I'm so ingrained with my gamer DNA being arcade sports titles. I can't do it at all. But I'll tell you, NBA Hang Time is awesome. But the best of the Jam series is NBA Showtime, which was later on the Dreamcast, and it was an arcade port.
That was a great one.
Yeah, that was a good one as well. Dan, your top Super Nintendo games. The finger is up. Here we are.
No, there you go. Obviously, there are the obvious ones that already have been mentioned. A Link to the Past 2.
Yes.
This is like, it was one of the first games I ever played that actually the story mattered to me. It was not just mindlessly pushing buttons. It was like the story there's something that matters happening here. But I think I gotta say my absolute favorite ones is the Donkey Kong Country trilogy that I have. The first one complete in box here. This is actually the box from my childhood. It's in Portuguese here.
Oh, nice.
It's in Brazilian Portuguese.
That cover is so good. That Donkey Kong Country cover is so good. I love it so much.
Donkey Kong Country 2, I don't have it complete in box. I have a loose copy. And Donkey Kong Country 3, I have a complete in box.
Man, that's cool.
Copy. And also, I gotta mention Chrono Trigger. This is one of those old clamp boxes.
I was about to say, there's no way that's the original.
Yeah. No,
wait, is that the original?
The paper inside is original from the box, but what those rental stores used to do, they would rip the box and put it on those clamp shells so kids wouldn't just rip it off.
Yeah.
And it was already hard to find. This type of box was already extremely hard and expensive to find. Finding a complete in-box copy of Chrono Trigger is like $1,000 plus.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna hate me for this, Dan. You might sympathize a little bit. I've never played Chrono Trigger because,
dude,
but here's
I envy
the thing.
you.
But
I envy you. You need to. I wish I could raise my memory and be in your shoes.
Sure. Because when you're that age, you play whatever your parents buy, And so my dad never bought Chrono Trigger, so I never played it. So I have to go through that one because I hear it's like.
Listen to me, Johnny. It's probably the best soundtrack you'll ever hear in a video game. It really is. The story is fantastic. It even has do you watch Dragon Ball at all?
Oh my gosh, yeah, huge Dragon Ball fan. So I know the animation is
and Chrono Trigger is one of those games that will always stand the test of time, no matter what. It doesn't matter how much things evolve. The story, the characters, and the telling you, man, the music will stay with you forever. The soundtrack is really I listen to the soundtrack all the time. Do
you listen to orchestral remixes of that? It pops up on YouTube to me all the time, and I always stop what I'm doing to listen.
Yeah.
Last one. You're gonna. What is that?
Yeah, that's the intro. Dude. I heard it. I heard the ticking. I heard it. Oh my God, man. It's so good. So damn good. But you got to play Corridors of Time. That's what you got to play.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's the best.
Last one.
Go for it.
Super
Mario RPG.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Had to mention that. Tomorrow, by the way.
Very relevant. Yes.
Tomorrow, the remake.
Yes.
Yeah, that comes out
Greg,
tomorrow.
you're muted.
Yeah, so I've actually never played Mario RPG, and everyone's like, you got to play Mario RPG, and I don't know if I should hop into the remake or if I should go back and play the OG one first. I don't know. You guys have any suggestions on that?
It depends what you value. If you value the historical experience,
which he does,
in context,
he should play the SNES.
Go for the original first.
Yeah.
So as I heard you
just want to experience it, then go for the remake. But if you value the historical aspect, go for the original. I
value video games that are fun. That's the most.
That you'll enjoy yourself either way. Then.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting hearing you guys talk, that there's so much here that you kept bringing up the same games: Mario World, DKC, Link to the Past. These are games that not just shaped all of us, but shaped in like literally entire generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
One game that you guys left out that that shaped me dramatically was the port of Super Nintendo, to the Super Nintendo of Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 in particular was huge for me. That game. I mean, I would take $5-10, go down to the local video store and play Street Fighter 2, pumping quarters into the arcade machine they had there. So when that got ported home and it actually looked like the arcade, that was mind-blowing to me, because up until that point, there was such a huge difference between what you got in the arcade and what you got at home. And the Super Nintendo closed that gap dramatically, to where it actually felt like you were playing the arcade game, which was really, really cool. So I mean,
NES arcade versions always felt really washed down. Right? Now with the Super Nintendo, it came out actually closer to the experience in the arcades.
Yep.
So I was never a huge I was a casual fighting game fan, but Killer Instinct was the game I played on the Super Nintendo. So Killer Instinct was, and then obviously Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat had blood in the Genesis version, but it didn't have blood on the Super Nintendo version. And that was always like the Genesis fans were always like, we've so got better. That was my favorite Mortal Kombat right there. Mortal Kombat 3 was so I played more of I didn't play as much Street Fighter. Street Fighter was the game the pros played, though, for sure. You know what I mean? Like that was the pros game back in the day. I didn't play a ton of Street Fighter. I played some for sure, but Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat 3, those were the games that I played in terms of fighting games.
So Shamsa actually sent over some more images. Would you guys like to see more pictures of this? Okay, let me get them pulled up in a browser really quick and out of Discord. But these are pretty freaking cool, man. Just seeing what, like, she must have just took them right now. And as we were talking about it, which is very cool. So this is the Super Nintendo. Oh my gosh, they're so high res, it's crazy. So big, so blown up. I'll get to them. This is the Super Nintendo prototype controller that was being worked on by this was the Sony Nintendo mashup, which is pretty amazing, because that's how the whole thing started, right? So here's more pictures of it right here. There we go. Look at this bad boy. So you can see
that.
It's very Sony-like.
It is.
You know,
great way
I mean?
to see it. Okay, we got that one. Then we have this one with a serial number on the back of it. Like, that's crazy to see. The controller, and then a better picture of the.
It's almost got a Mickey Mouse head to it.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Right. And then a better picture of the shoulders up top.
There you go.
I don't hate it.
No, I don't either.
Perspectives now, like the first perspective really wasn't great. I don't hate it now. The more I see it, and I obviously do see the Super Nintendo inspiration in it now. The controller. I see.
I don't know how I feel about the directional button though.
Yeah,
those directional buttons that have they feel like one entire rounded piece. I hate all of those. There was one of those in the Xbox One controller. Most of the Microsoft controllers have a directional button like that. I don't like those at all.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome.
Really cool. That's really cool.
By the way, dude came in, and you guys got to do bragging rights more. Because people like really want to show off their shit.
I know.
And dude came in with a $50 Rumble rant. Says just sent you a pick on Discord. Would have shown an earlier pick on bragging rights if it happened anymore.
Let me go get a few. I've got a few SNES games here. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
So here's what dude has to offer. And this
like good
Lord,
man.
Dude. What a beautiful collection.
That is a library of games. That is awesime.
Spectacular, dude.
Anything we're talking about, he's got it. Anything we're talking about.
Well, he said actually on Discord, he said he has every game except for Cybernator. that we've talked about.
Oh, okay. So maybe not everyone. I found one.
Yeah. So
I gotta see if I'd send that to him just for the cause. I gotta see if I still have Cybernator.
So good news. Good news, by the way, as Shamsa came in with another $100 direct donation, saying, hold on, I got to make sure Streamlabs pulls back up because this is actually directed towards you, Jonny. It needs to refresh here. So let me refresh it. But in the meantime, I want to let you know that dude came in with that 50. Let's freaking go, dude. Let's go. Look at it right there.
Look at it.
Right on the wall there, right next to Ashley. That's good. So I got into like, obviously that era is huge to me. I actually went to Japan several years back and got I went to this famous video game store called Super Potato. Have you guys ever heard of Super Potato before?
No.
It's kind of like the holy grail of like classic video game stores in specifically like the video game portion of Japan. I think it's called not Shibuya, but either way. So I went in and I bought an actual Super Famicom. And I wanted to show off some of the Super Famicom games that I bought that are in box as well. I don't know if you guys are interested in actually these Super Famicom things, but I got F-Zero. I think these in box are like so freaking cool.
Yeah. They're almost like VHS tapes if I just looked at them, you know?
Yes, yeah. Super Metroid.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really cool. I've never opened these. They've just been sitting there. Final Fantasy VI. Right here, which is to see the artwork the difference between them are so fun.
In Japan, it was actually called 6.
I have Street Fighter 2 Turbo right here, the artwork here, which is, Street Fighter 2.
Arguably the best version, or at least the most popular one.
Super Turbo is the best, but then I have Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Yeah,
very, very cool. I never even saw this box art before.
That's right up there with like the Nintendo Power magazines. That Zelda art style, I love it.
Final Fantasy IV, which is
nice,
pretty awesome. And
was that our 2 or Final Fantasy 2?
This is I believe that's our Final Fantasy 2, correct? Right. And Mother 2, which
we didn't get that.
Yeah, never got this one. So
never got that.
Pretty awesome. I have a bunch more like inbox games, but I wanted to share the Super Famicom version. So
hell yeah,
awesome.
Yes,
so I've got a few Super Nintendo games here at GGHQ. All of my stuff is back home though, mainly, but I've got the Ken Griffey Jr.
Let's go, Ken Griffey Jr. Let's go.
This game is awesome. Okay, this game is awesome as hell. It's no baseball stars. But this is a Super Nintendo stream. We've got, WrestleMania, the arcade game. Come on, dude.
Come on, baby.
Come on, man.
Let's go.
Everybody that's a wrestling fan knows how good this game is, all right? All right, if you are a real gamer, you have not beat this game, all right? Because nobody's ever beat this game. And it's Empire Strikes.
Oh, come on. I was going to bring that. I beat that like...
No,
it's not as hard as people say.
Oh, bro,
you're lying.
Listen,
Bro,
okay.
hard.
You have to understand. I want to cry every time I play that game because I'm like, I remember when I loved Star Wars, and I played that game. I played all 3 of those games. That one, Return to Jedi. I played those night and day. So they don't feel that hard to me. As long as you get the level 5 blaster, you're freaking good. Like, you're good. Like, just don't die after you get the level 5 blaster, which isn't that hard. Anyway, I'm done. That's my rant.
You got to stream those games, Jonny.
Yes, I will. I will. I love them.
I'll show a couple more. Spider-Man and the X-Men. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Spider-Man and the X-Men. My personal favorite sports game of all time, Tecmo Super Bowl, right there.
Wow.
Tecmo
Favorite
Super Bowl.
all time, huh?
All time. This
Wow.
is the one that kept up with season statistics. Had the NFL Players Association. This is the best sports game ever.
You can
made, in
throw
my
a Hail
opinion.
Mary 110 yards. It's awesome.
You can. And so this was my video game, my basketball video game for the Super Nintendo, and it's NBA Live 95. I loved the NBA Live games, and we'll save the best for last of all of the games that I showed here, but it is Contra 3.
Nice.
Right there. So
nice.
there you go. So yeah,
Working hard too.
It's a few games I have here hanging out.
Those games are so Jeremy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey,
It,
can I talk
man.
about the
Sports,
NBA?
wrestling, and Contra, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right, running gun. That's all.
America.
Hey, man, I love it. But the NBA Live series, like people shit on it, became like super hardcore, and eventually it kind of went the way of it just disappeared because it had such a bad reputation.
Yep.
And I don't even think it exists today. I don't even think they brought it back.
It rivaled. It was a couple years ago. It looked like it was maybe going to start to rival 2K again, but that kind of died off pretty quick.
Right. So they, for me, NBA Live 96 was the game. I actually went in and created. I remember my entire junior varsity basketball team on that. Like you can create players, and I think I was a junior. And of course, they didn't like set it to where you could limit your stats. So I'm shooting like. And I have 99 shot, 99 dunk, 99 speed, and I'm just averaging 300 points a game. Just going.
Yeah.
NBA Live stayed that way for a while. Like I played NBA Live 2005 on the GameCube, and it was the same thing. You could just do it whenever you want. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Jonny, I mentioned this earlier, but Shamsa directly donated another $100 and says, "Can you tell him his copy of Chrono Trigger is on me?"
Whoa.
What?
Nice.
So it sounds
Nice.
like
And it's
Craig's
not a
buying a
cheap
copy
game.
of Chrono Trigger for you.
That's very generous.
All
That's
right.
very generous. It's
Wow,
not a cheap
thank
game.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
not
Yes.
cheap.
Well, now I am financially obligated to play the game. So yes, I will be giving you guys my review on it shortly. It's awesome.
We do have to Dan, we have to bring bragging rights back, bro. We have to do this. We got to get this back rolling. People have not stopped talking about it. It's been a long time. People are still talking about it.
It's funny, right? It's been probably 1 year since the last episode, and people keep asking.
I know.
People, hey, bragging rights.
Yeah.
And we
Because
got to
of
invite
your
those guys too.
allergies, That's why.
Thank you, Shamsa. Thank you, Shamsa.
Last time was my fault.
That's
That's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'd love to come on anytime you guys want to do that. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So when you guys bring it back, that's awesome. So people have nostalgia for bragging rights. They want to show off all that good stuff. Let's talk about the opposite of nostalgia for the Super Nintendo. We've talked about the best. Let's actually talk about the worst, because it had a great library, but it also had a lot. Like for me, this was nowadays you look at games, you're like, that game's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many games out, you can just move on to the next game. Back in the day when you bought a game, you had that. It was not like, well, I have 47,000 games in my Steam library, right? You had a game and you owned it. And if it sucked, you just had to make the best of it, right? So we all had experience of playing bad games, owning bad games. What are some of the worst games on the Super Nintendo that y'all recall?
Oh man.
This is not the worst, but I'm showing this because of this little logo right here.
LJN, yeah.
LJN, yeah. They were responsible for most of the bad games on the Super Nintendo.
I liked
gotta
Aliens
say.
3 though. I'm kind of surprised by
No,
that.
this game is not bad. It's not great, but it's also not horrible. But yeah, LJN, man, they used to put like some pretty bad games.
Yeah.
So I found a list. Does anybody off the top of their head, or actually Blaz found the list? But
Well, I remember playing it on the Genesis when it first came out. There was a game called Pit Fighter. I don't know if you guys remember Pit Fighter.
of course I remember Pit Fighter.
And I remember the SNES version being fucking horrendous. You know what I mean? But I don't have like a lot of I don't remember a lot of my bad experiences on the Super Nintendo, but I do remember Pit Fighter being I loved it on the Genesis. I thought it was fantastic. And I remember it being terrible on the Super Nintendo.
Pit Fighter's actually
there
their
you
worst
go.
game. Worst
There
game
you
on the
go.
Super
So yeah, like it was, and I don't even remember what it was about. Like in terms of like, I just remember being so incredibly disappointed because I loved it on the Genesis. I loved this game on the Genesis. This
Right.
game was so fucking cool, man.
Well, I'm the same way. I actually have a personal story with this game. When this game was played in the arcades, I remember playing this at a CC's Pizza with my brother, and there was a fighter in it called Ty, and he was the kickboxer. He was I think he was dressed in either red or yellow. But I was at that young, impressionable age to where we would see this stuff, and then we'd want to emulate it. So, and I have a brother who's a couple of years younger than me. So, in the morning, on Saturday mornings, we would wake up, run outside first thing in the morning, not even put clothes on. We're running like you got two little boys running out in our underwear, going straight to the trampoline, and then we would play Pit Fighter on our trampoline and beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I don't feel like Pit Fighter gets mentioned a lot. So like sometimes when I bring it up, sometimes people look at me weird, and other people are like, hell yeah, I remember it. So it's hit or miss with people that remember Pit Fighter. You know what I mean? But I loved it, man. I again, for the Genesis, not so much the Super Nintendo.
Let's take a look at some of these other games here. They have Lester the Unlikely, which looks like a bad game.
Yeah, it looks awful.
I rented that once. It was terrible.
Race driving.
That almost looks like Rad Racer.
Rad Racer,
from the NES. Like we haven't stepped up graphically from the Super Nintendo. From the NES to Super Nintendo.
So Race Driving was actually an Atari game that was released in the arcade, and you guys have probably all played it at one point. But it was like a race driving simulator. And when you went to the arcade, that's not what you wanted. So it was extremely hard to play. And graphically, it was pretty cool for the arcade. When it was brought over to the Super Nintendo, I think it was like legitimately, it was like 4 frames a second. It was really, really bad. Really, really bad. College Football USA, Terminator 2 Judgment Day with the conveniently placed board right there over his junk.
Which is so sad because like Star Wars was great. The Indiana Jones game was great. Indiana Jones
The Lion
was
King was great. The Lion King and
Lion King was too damn hard.
Oh, dude, Batman Forever. I had to look in the manual because I didn't know how to jump in this game. Not jump, but to go to go to the upper floor. This is the sort of the labyrinth game, maze game.
I don't remember
when you
this
have
one.
to go up
I didn't
and
play
down
this one.
the
I didn't play
stage.
this one.
And I have to look up the manual to see how do you go up to the upper floor. It was terrible.
The reason why you had to do that, and Jeremy, the reason why you haven't heard of this game is, and number one, it's incredibly rare, but it was developed by Midway, and what their thought process was, we're going to
play like Mortal Kombat.
Bingo. They're going to make it like Mortal Kombat. So it had the exact same button layout as Mortal Kombat, but it was like a platforming beat 'em up, and it was incredibly confusing. You'd have to do inputs to do special moves. It was really, really bad, but it was very, very rare. I don't know Rex Ronan, Experimental Surgeon.
Never heard of it.
But I do know Balls 3D. Did you guys ever play Balls?
Balls
Yes.
3D? No.
I own this game.
I'm pretty sure if you look up Balls 3D, you're going to find different things online nowadays.
Balls 3D, man. I'll tell you what, this game, let me just pull up the intro for this game. I think it's important that you hear the music that started this game, because I remember hearing the intro to this and being like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be hearing this or not. So let me pull this up really quick.
I like Johnny's comment. Google that now. You might get a slightly different result.
Here we go. Listen to this title screen music.
Oi. Oi.
What the frick, dude?
Oi. Oi. Oi.
Johnny, Johnny, I think you're wrong. You might get the same result.
Right. Still.
I'm like wondering. I'm like, can my wife hear through the headphones? What's going on?
So the game itself was ridiculously bad.
Gotta record a cover.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah, you should absolutely record a cover of that. That'd be great. I'm pretty sure you can.
Damn.
It would be very well received on the internet.
We need a
these days.
sequel.
With that intro,
We need a Super Balls 3D now.
with that intro, it doesn't deserve to be top 10. Like that's just classic right there.
Then we get to like licensed games like Bebe's Kids, and I remember Bobby's World, Bebe's Kids. Like there was a lot of like I think Rugrats had a bad SNES inspired game or something. Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball,
Yes.
Revolution X, which
Oh, dude.
oh man, taking a game that was a light gun game and bringing it over to like the Super Nintendo just didn't ever
Is
work.
this the one with Aerosmith?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. This one is pretty batshit. The Rocketeer may be maybe one of the worst Super Nintendo games I've ever played. I love the movie. The game was horrendous. Obviously, Mario's missing.
oh, dude. Yeah.
Yep, a lot of people type of that.
Educational
and
game.
Nickelodeon guts. You have it. So,
You know, one game that doesn't get talked about enough for the Super Nintendo.
What's that?
It's based off one of my favorite television shows of all time. Home Improvement.
Dude.
What?
Where you get to fight,
Fight
dinosaurs.
You go back in time as
Greatest
the
thing
guy.
ever.
What is the name of the main guy?
So Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah, he
So-
goes back in time with his
arr.
tools,
Yeah.
fighting dinosaurs with like a drilling.
Oh my god.
It's amazing.
It's so stupid and I love it, dude. It's so dumb. Oh, man.
What a concept.
This
Yes!
Tim the Toolman Taylor going through dinosaurs like this is.
This is proof
Look
that
at
the
this.
library is too big for the Super Nintendo. Like we're making games about anything.
He's
This
shooting
feels
a nail
like it
gun?
was supposed to be. It was supposed to be some other game, and then the guys went like, let's slap the Home Improvement
Wait, so
team over there.
He's literally shooting a well, he's got a
Yeah, you have all sorts of tools.
Dude, it doesn't look half bad.
It's actually pretty fucking fun. It's actually pretty fun. Look at him. Arr, arr, arr.
Arr, 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 arr.
See if you can find a dinosaur. See if you can find a part where he fights one of the dinosaurs.
Oh, we'll oh, here we go. Yes, naturally, Tim the Toolman Taylor fighting the dinosaur.
Wow.
Oh man, you think when they're like, listen, Tim, we got this great idea. We're gonna give you a nail gun, and you're gonna fight a dinosaur. And he's like, oh, my God.
Man,
Fantastic, man.
that's good
Brilliant.
stuff right there. That's good stuff.
Wow, that is great stuff right there.
I will say one that was. I don't know if this was just mine and my dad's guilty pleasure. Did you guys play any fishing games on the SNES? Like, or was
No.
just fishing not your thing?
I got some. Sometimes I will rent one of those pirate cartridges that were like 10 games.
Had
in one.
everything. Yeah.
And one of those games were like a super
Right.
bass bass, actually.
Super bass.
Yeah,
Super
Black.
Bass
There was
something.
Super Black Bass and there was Bass.
Super
Bass's
Black
Black
Bass,
Bass
yeah.
is the best, but Mark Davis's The Fishing Master is the most garbage. Like it's hot garbage fishing game, like a video game where you're fishing where you can't see the fish until they bite. It's like you're just throwing in random ponds. It is the worst fishing game ever. It's so bad. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
that's
I didn't play a lot of fishing games on the Super Nintendo, but
No,
I did like
can't
later
say,
on.
Yeah, I can't say I was like, it'd be really fun fishing on a Super Nintendo. I can't say I ever did that, which is one of those things. All right, so we got about 30 minutes or so, but so I want to maximize our time here. I do have the old ScrewAttack top list.
Yeah,
we can pull up.
Hey, this has been awesome, by the way. Shout out to the chat, everybody being here. You guys being supportive of shows like this shows us that you want us to do more stuff like this. So that's really cool, and we really appreciate you guys being here, and your enthusiasm in the chat has been fantastic.
Hell yeah.
It's great.
Fun
It's great
times.
stuff.
Jeremy, appreciate that, man. Yeah, if you guys are new, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 56,000 subscribers, and as we continue to grow. So let's do a little bit of let's do a little trivia here. I asked Chat GPT to create some questions, multiple choice
hell.
for us.
This is gonna be crazy.
This
And,
is gonna be a disaster.
At least he's open about it.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I just realized? They gave me the questions, but they didn't give me the answers.
Oh shit!
And Greg got to Google the answers. He's gonna make us look stupid.
No. I got it. I just asked.
Google.
This is a great advocate for like, great argument for AI right here. Jeez.
All right. So here we go. Do you guys want to go the easy way or the hard one?
Let's progress
Yeah.
from easy to hard.
Yeah. Let's at least give us a couple of softballs so we look like we know what we're talking about before we look like complete idiots.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can answer these without.
Who's the main character in Super Mario World?
Right.
Uh,
All right.
Yoshi.
Let's see. Well, some of these are really, really easy. Okay, here we go. What game? Nah, I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to insult you.
no, insult us, please. We're gonna need it. Trust me.
All right. What game used the Mode 7 graphical effects to simulate 3D environments?
Mario Kart and F-Zero.
Okay, there we go.
And Star Fox.
Star Fox use it too?
No,
We
no.
haven't mentioned-
Star Fox.
This is a good one.
Star Fox has the it's another thing entirely. It has the 3D ship.
Here's a good one. In Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, what is the name of Link's uncle?
That's a Johnny one.
Gosh, I should
I
know
thought it
it.
was
How many
just
times
Uncle.
have I played this game? See,
That is the greatest Zelda.
Back
That's the
then,
greatest-
you just skip all the dialogue.
I
man.
didn't know he had a name.
Is that still the greatest Zelda game ever, Johnny? Or is
It-
you
it's-
think
it's-
Ocarina
it's-
is, right?
It's top 2. It's either that one or Ocarina for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uncle Rico. No.
Was it A, Alfonso, B, Egon, C, Aghanim, or D, Rusty?
Egon. Aghanim's the wizard.
Yeah. It's not
Egon.
Aghanim.
Egon is correct.
If Johnny
Yeah.
says it.
Johnny wins. Chrono Trigger.
All right, we got it. Here we go. What Super Nintendo game involved guiding a flock of lemmings through various obstacles?
Lemmings.
Lemmings. This is ChatGPT for you. All right, let's go a little harder here. What was the name of the company responsible for the development of the Super FX chip used in several Super Nintendo games?
Super FX chip is what I was thinking with the
Yeah, I don't
Star
know that
Fox.
Was it A, Silicon Graphics, B, Nintendo R&D 1, C, Rare, or D, Factor 5?
It's not rare.
R&D 1.
Johnny?
I don't know. Yeah, no idea.
Silicon
What was the
Graphics.
first option?
Okay.
Oh, it's
Graphics.
Silicon. I was going to say that. You didn't give me time. So
Right. right. Because there's only four questions there, Dan, or four answers. All right, here's another one. What Super Nintendo game had a sequel planned but was ultimately canceled, leaving players on a cliffhanger?
Say that
say
one
that
more time.
again because your audio
you
went
cut
weird.
out. You cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Super Nintendo game had a sequel planned but was ultimately canceled, leaving players on a cliffhanger?
I can think of a bunch.
Well, I'm going to give you four options. A, ActRaiser. B, Super Castlevania 4. C, Earthbound. Or D, Secret of Evermore.
Or it's not Earthbound because it got sequels on the Japanese market.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Super Castlevania 4.
Secret of Evermore.
Dan is wrong. It was Earthbound.
See that? You fuck
Now-
you, Dan. You sabotaged me.
They have Mother 2 and 3.
You sabotaged me.
ChatGPT is full of shit.
Chat GPT has never been wrong.
Ever. All right, here we go. In Super Mario World, what is the name of the ghostly Boo encountered in the sunken ghost ship level?
Damn.
Is it A, Eerie, B, Big Boo, C, King Boo, or D, Boo Buddy?
Big Boo.
Look at Dan going looking through.
just go beat the game real quick, and they do the whole like character names at the end. I'm pretty sure it's Big Boo. It wasn't King Boo yet.
It was indeed.
Big Boo.
Hold on.
Coming in clutch.
No, that is incorrect. ChatGPT says it's King Boo.
No.
Bullshit! Bullshit! I have proof now that ChatGPT is full of shit. Big
Oh my
boo.
God. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's go and watch this together. You guys can tell me when to stop and all that stuff. This is the. There was originally it was top 20 Super Nintendo games. It was broken into 2 videos because videos longer than like 7 minutes were very hard to do back in the day. But would you guys like to watch the entire thing or just 10 through 1?
I'm okay with either way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Johnny,
me too.
do you have time?
Yeah. So re-ask the question. I'm sorry. My wife was trying to leave, then she came back in. Now she's on screen. So sorry. We're running a professional program here.
No worries. So
I miss
have
Zeltroid.
I have the entire ScrewAttack top 10. I guess top 20 Super Nintendo games. It's voiced by me, so it's going to be a little bit of craziness. Would you guys like to watch that and see how wrong we were?
Hell.
Or right?
You'll do fine. You'll do fine.
Let's criticize it.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can make sure I can present this the right way. Oh, you know what? Let me actually pull it up. Let me just put it directly into the thing really fast. 1 second. But yeah, I mean, just overall thoughts. Let's see. We talked about the Super Nintendo as a whole. We talked about our intro to it. We've talked about the best games and the worst games. We did a little bit of trivia. I don't know. I mean, how about everybody, while I'm pulling up these videos, how about you guys just give your overall thoughts on the Super Nintendo in a paragraph? We'll start with you, Dan.
Oof.
We'll start with you, Johnny.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's peak 2D animation. It's just peak 2D animation, and it's the best of Nintendo because like almost every single major IP got its love, in that one, like Donkey Kong, Metroid, Mario, like it's like Star Fox, like every major Nintendo IP is pretty well represented.
Yeah, some of them were created.
F-Zero, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like the Super Nintendo is the system that defines what video games should be. I can turn my Super Nintendo on right now. I don't need an update. I don't need an internet connection. They're never going to take away the all-time great library. It will last. It will last forever and a day. And these are games that will never be recreated. And they were created for the right reasons from so many different perspectives. And whether it's the sports games, whether it's RPGs, whether it's 2D side scrollers, whether it's stupid games with Tim the Toolman Taylor fighting dinosaurs. It's got such a vast library of games, but the introduction of things like Mode 7 were such a game changer. And I think the legacy will be the library and the memories that it left with so many. But people like Johnny, who was only a couple of years old at the time when it came out, he's able to become an expert on the system because these games will last forever. And so many times we see games come out, Call of Duty gets released, it's popular for a year, nobody plays it after that, shit like that. Super Nintendo will never have that problem. And even with something like the Nintendo 64, I love the 64. I don't particularly think the 64 has aged all that well in a lot of the games. The Super Nintendo has aged incredibly well, and it continues to get better and better and better the older it gets. That is a rarity. It's almost like the Benjamin Button of video games. So it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it's proof that simplicity is where it's at. You don't need like a list of 100 people in the end credits to make a fantastic game. You have entire complex and fun worlds inside a 10 megabyte cartridge that you can download in 2 seconds nowadays, and it's proof that simpler times were indeed fun, not because they were simple, but because it's possible through creativity and through good gameplay to do something fun with very few resources.
I still remember as a kid, after going through Link to the Past, you do the 3 temples in the light world. and then it goes Dark World, and you're like, wait, there's a whole nother map
I
here.
thought the game was done by then. Yeah,
like
I
was just playing that game recently. It was the first time my wife went through it, and even she, like in 2023, saw that where you can use the mirror to like go between the two worlds, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool." It's like that held up. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, like, so real quick story about it. So I played a lot of sports when I was younger, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, just with my cousins and my friends. That's all we did is we played sports. When Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, the first summer we got that game, we literally never left the house.
right.
Like, and we didn't even realize it until like after like the summer. We're like, bro, we haven't done anything but played battle mode on Mario Kart this entire summer, because Mario Kart was like, again, you have to understand, it's weird to think about a time when Mario Kart wasn't an iconic name and brand. Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo in 1992, prior to that, it didn't exist. There was not a Mario Kart. So when they came out with a video game of go-karts with Nintendo characters, you're like, okay, this will probably be a one-off. It'll probably last for a few months and people will play it and then it'll go away. Mario Kart turned out to be one of the most prominent franchises in video game history. And to this day now, it's more popular than it's ever been. But that first summer we played Mario Kart, we were obsessed with it and it was nonstop. And I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? So it was awesome.
I said last night, I think that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may be the best pure video game ever made. Like it may be just straight from sitting down, playing, getting around with playing with your friends, playing online. It's just a fun video game. It's an escape. It's amazing. It started on.
It's an 11-year-old game that's the best sold game to this day. On the Switch.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. Yeah. Now, like, and I know people will bring up like Minecraft and all that, but like Minecraft's available on every single platform imaginable. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is available on one platform, and it's going to hit like I don't know. It's probably going to flirt with 100 million copies sold was all said and done.
Yeah, I think right now it's sitting around 55 million or something. It's insane. It's crazy. But yeah, it's nuts. Okay, let's get into this. This is the ScrewAttack top 10 from this may be 2008, 2009 maybe. So this is ancient internet video. It's broken up into two parts. I'll stop and I'll start it as you guys see fit. This just says part 1 and part 2. I'm assuming part 1 is 20 through 11. And you guys just say stop at any time. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. We'll be reading those off afterwards, and I'll let these guys roll if they want to roll out, so we can read off those super chats and direct donations and Rumble rants and Twitch bits and all that stuff. But thank you guys very much for your support. Once again, that allows us to do fun things like this and to take a break from all the insanity that is gaming and culture and everything else there. So let's get into it. This is the ScrewAttack top 20 Super Nintendo games from way back in the day. Let's see what we got here. I hope this is right.
Nostalgia, baby.
The
Zombies ate my neighbors!
They right off the bat.
Yeah.
Here we go.
No. Some would say the best console ever made with one of the most extensive and impressive game libraries in history. Games that can still hang in this era of high-definition gaming and fully orchestrated soundtracks. Freaking awesome.
Yes.
With so many damn fine games, there is no way we can limit this just down to 10. So we had to put together
Mega Man X2 is what it is.
Yep.
Mega Man X2.
Non-stop fun, baby.
two list. So where's your favorite game gonna land? Let's find out. Hey, I'm Stuttering Craig for ScrewAttack's Top 20 Super NES Games.
By the way, quick note about this. Did you ever know, I learned this much later.
Put together two lists.
Right here on the
where's your favorite game gonna
logo
land?
here.
Let's find out. Hey, I'm Stuttering Craig for ScrewAttack's Top 20.
These buttons right here, the green and the yellow, all those are meant to reflect the controller's buttons.
Yes.
Yeah, but
I had no idea.
The Japanese ones.
Yes.
The Japanese ones have those colors.
I had no idea. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
20 Super NES games. You know you've got one hell of a list when Donkey Kong barely makes it. A game that looked a full generation ahead of its time, DKC gave gamers a boner with its visuals.
The music.
And a badass soundtrack to boot. One of the smoothest platformers ever, this is also the first time we're introduced to Diddy Kong, who has since moved on to bigger and better things, like kicking ass. In all honesty, we had a really tough time deciding which DKC to put on the list, but ultimately the original won out due to its initial wow factor it had on gaming.
Easy breezy.
You want to talk about?
Oh, you want? Here's your KI right here, man.
Yep, there we go.
Such a difference between the home port and the actual arcade. When you look at them side by side, it's night and day. But at the time, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was still pretty amazing that you could play it at your house.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Wow, what's your best combo on Killer Instinct? One of the coolest fighting games ever made. We spent hours on this arcade port and still play the soundtrack CD Killer Cuts at the ScrewAttack HQ. Constantly.
Not true.
A game that's all about fast-paced fun and giant combos. We can only hope that the rumored KI3 becomes a reality.
What? Think about that. This was a decade before Killer Instinct. The reboot was announced, and they were still talking about it then.
That's crazy.
It's on the Xbox 360. Good Lord. Crazy.
I can't believe DKC is number 20, but again, that just shows you like how many great games are on this system. You know what I mean? Like honestly, like I'm not sure if I really had to sit down and think about it. I don't know if Donkey Kong Country would make my top 10 only because there's just so many good games.
Right. Well, and I think that was the logic was you got to start off with something that is so well known to really preface the idea that this is going to be a banger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Smart.
Yep.
Johnny's over here like upset. He's like mad. He's like, I'm fucking off this panel.
No, it should be higher. It should be higher. But at the same time, that angle from a creative standpoint, I'm like, nope, that's smart. Open with Donkey Kong Country. You hooked them in.
Yeah,
well done.
Exactly.
It's two rare games in a row, by the way.
Rare was
Killer
gone.
Instinct
They
is
were
rare.
kings, man. Rare.
One
was
of the
king.
sad what ifs of video game history is if Nintendo was able to keep Rare, because gosh, it is just for the most part just been a flop going to Microsoft.
Yep.
Yep.
One of the SNES launch titles, F-Zero served almost as a tech demo for what Mode 7 graphics were all about. It set the standard for racing games at the time and still stands up as one of the best ever. The perfect blend of cakewalk controls for beginners and incredibly tough tracks for experts, F-Zero is a must-download for the Virtual Console. The only thing that sucks about F-Zero is that its sequel never actually made it over to the United States.
Now we're playing F-Zero 99, which is insane.
Yes, that is so fun. It is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Johnny, have you played F-Zero 99 at all?
I have played F-Zero 99. I was expecting like an F-Zero GX remaster or a new F-Zero game, like new. So I was kind of disappointed with 99 initially, but it is fun as hell. It's so fun.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I have a little negative bias towards those 99 games, but I saw Craig playing it. I think I'm gonna give it a go.
It's
pretty
fun.
wild.
It is great.
There's some legit strategy to that one, man. It's tough.
Very much so. Very much so. And that's what Nintendo does extraordinarily well is they take these old games, put a new twist on them while still adding several layers of depth.
Yep.
And that's just what Nintendo does exceptional. Now, I'll tell you what. I remember I am extremely biased towards UN Squadron. I love UN Squadron. I heard the first two notes of this, and I know it's UN Squadron. Some people hate it, but I love it.
Hey, it's no secret, we're huge fans of shoot-'em-ups here at ScrewAttack. So when it came down to it, we had an incredibly tough decision to make. Gradius 3 with its customizable plane, or the sublime controls of UN Squadron, a port that is actually better than the arcade version. Damn. Both games you can just pick up
in Squadron.
What's that?
I didn't play you in Squadron.
Oh my God.
Play Gradius.
That's probably the bigger thing about it was the UN Squadron port from the arcade was way better than the arcade version. And the arcade version was tough as nails hard, but the SNES version was still extremely hard, but manageable. And it had new features and stuff attached to it. It was great, man. It was really good.
Play right now. Both games have great power-ups, and both games just have stellar soundtracks. We choose both. Why? Because it's our list and not yours. We can do whatever the hell we want.
All right.
Right, logic.
3 words.
I don't think this would make it today.
Super FX chip. Or is that 4 words? Can you believe that we actually thought this looked good? And who would have thought taking a forest animal and throwing him in a futuristic plane would actually be a great idea? Either way, it's worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah, it did.
With multiple paths on your way to Venom, this mix of polygons was only spoiled by one thing. Saving that stupid frog's ass every few seconds. I hate Slippy.
And you guys probably know it immediately.
Oh, yeah. Turtles in Time.
Right.
Turtles in
Yep.
Time.
Here's some amphibians
All
we're
right,
actually
if
all
Turtles in
about.
Time not being in the top 10, I am done. I'm leaving now.
He's out. I'm done.
I'm out. I'm done. Go ahead.
Well, we need to know what the top 10 is. That's the
I know,
thing. You gotta
I know.
stick around and wait, which is important.
The best beat 'em up ever, Turtles in Time. A game that was so great, all we need to do is show you gameplay.
Oh my God, man. The art, the animation, the personality, incredible.
You know you love it.
I think that game, obviously, there's a lot of nostalgia to it, but it's still such a great game. And do you remember when they made the Xbox 360 reimagining of it? That was released and it was all dark and they changed all the music. That to me was just like the biggest slap in the face.
I haven't thought about that one forever, but I think that's why, because it was a slap in the face that it came and I forgot it immediately.
Yes, yeah, and they added all sorts of I remember one of the things they added to it. They added diagonal running to it, which sounds like a small and probably good change, but it totally changed the way the game played, and it felt totally different. It was TMNT Turtles in Time, reshelled or something. I don't remember what it was
I didn't
called.
play it, but I remember the discussions around it and seeing clips of it.
I hated it.
Some say this version's broken. We say we spent too many days, weeks, months on our Super Nintendo playing it to care. It's only broken if you know the difference, and when Street Fighter II hit our homes in all its 16-bit glory, we couldn't tell. Throwing in some crazy-ass speed in the game gave us a glimpse of what was later to come in fighting games, but if it was too fast, you could always slow it down to the original speed. So slow. With the added speed and the ability to play as the final bosses for the first time on your SNES, being bombarded by fireballs never felt so liberating.
So the music played in the background of that was that's the 7 stars ending music. It's really, really hard to get. And I remember you couldn't go on YouTube and download soundtracks at the time. We had to go capture the music ourselves.
Yeah.
So going through and getting that just for that was a really big badge of accomplishment just for that stupid intro or just for that stupid entry in our top 20 games. I don't know. I just remember that. Good stuff.
I know that music.
Right around the corner, it's time to take a look back and reflect on just where this series came from. Split screen fun with fast-paced tracks and, of course, a giant flying fish that gives you trophies. Someone had to be high when they came up with this stuff. While the Grand Prix was fun, the real kicker of the original Mario Kart was the battle mode.
Battle mode,
and let's
baby.
not forget the red turtle shell, terrorizing gamers since 1993. Konami was one of the kings of the Super Nintendo. It seemed like they were just constantly pumping out greatness. Contra 3 is no exception. Building on 2 incredible NES titles, Contra 3 lived up to its name by making everything bigger,
Contra.
better, and adding more weapons. Now, admittingly, the overhead shooter levels, they were a little bit awkward. But the sheer bliss you get when mowing over bad guys in a tank or taking down a 3-story turtle, more than makes up for it. Pure 2-player greatness. Even if the other player sucks. Jose.
Hey, Craig, I got a question. So,
Yeah.
is Sunset Riders in this top 20?
Oh, good question.
Guess you'll have to wait and see, won't you?
I'm
have to wait and see.
I'm gonna protest if it's not.
Yeah, okay. I'll make sure to tell 2008 Craig he sucks.
The first time we saw this game in Nintendo Power, we pooed our pants. Seriously. It was such an upgrade over the previous Castlevanias, we could hardly wait to get our grubby little nasty hands on it. We said this before and we'll say this again, one of the best soundtracks of any Castlevania game. Yeah, that good. Now you would think they would have just named the game Castlevania 4, but they had to throw Super in front of it because they knew the game was going to beat so much ass. The graphics, the soundtracks, the secrets, it was everything you looked for in a Super Nintendo game. Just not quite good enough to make the top 10.
That's a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Now we're getting to the heavy hitters.
Yes. All right. There we go. Get that out of there.
So
yes.
Obviously, I can go ahead and name games that are going to be in top 10. You're going to have Super Mario World. You're going to have Super Metroid. You're going to have A Link to the Past. You're going to have Chrono Trigger. You're going to have Sunset Riders. You better. Let's see. You left Donkey Kong Country out, which is crazy.
Donkey Kong Country 2 not being in the top 20 is a little like, wow.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country 2 is a big deal.
And Turtles in Time not being in the top 10 is wild. Let's see. We'll see. That's about 5 though. You know, but
do you guys hear that? Do you guys hear this?
Is that the sound of kicking Dan out?
No, Dan has a power outage.
Okay.
Okay.
This is me sending an email to myself in 2008, letting me know how bad you suck.
Yeah. Somebody just said in the chat, Mega Man X has got to be in there. The fact that we haven't talked about Mega Man X and Mega Man X2 especially, like, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, well, let's find out, friends.
Here we go.
Warning, the following list contains some of the best games of all time.
This is true.
If your favorite is not on the list or not where you want it to be, don't be a bitch and freak out.
Uh-oh.
Jeremy getting called out.
Jeremy's like,
Let's go. I am going to send a strongly worded tweet if my game is not on this list.
The Super Nintendo was just that good of a system. Hey, I'm Stuttering Craig for ScrewAttack's Top 20 Super NES Games, 10 through 1.
10.
What do you get when you take a desolate land?
how the shit did we not talk about ActRaiser? Have you guys played ActRaiser?
I have not.
Oh,
Well, Johnny's a late bloomer. Johnny's a late bloomer. Also.
Yeah.
The fact you have played Chrono Trigger still blows my mind.
Again,
And
take
just
it up
because
with my
you're-
dad, all right? Ask him why he didn't buy him. I was like 2 when this console dropped. Damn.
Is it? Gun Hill Max says Craig called out Jeremy from 2008. All right, here we go.
With evil demons and combine them with a little naked angel friend. ActRaiser. While developing a city for your people to live in is incredibly satisfying, you've also got the kicker of romping through monsters to some of the best tunes in video game history. Man, just listen to this makes you want to rip somebody's head off. Oh yeah, video game soundtrack aggression.
Number 9.
Cute, cuddly, and unique, Yoshi's Island took shooting eggs out your ass and made it incredibly fun. Oh, whining baby Mario, you're so adorable. While the cuteness of the game may have turned some gamers off, they missed out on sublime controls and gameplay.
Control was so good,
baby
man.
Mario. Now you're starting to annoy me. But this boss battle, absolutely epic. Taking on a giant baby Bowser from a few miles away while the sky is falling and he rushes you? Wow. I hate you, shut up!
That was the most annoying part. Was him
Yes.
crying constantly. That was enough to like take it down at least a point because all the crying from him.
Well, you know, the solution to that, Jeremy, is you get good.
Get good. That is true. That is true.
Number 8.
Well, pretty much every existing NES franchise that made
There
the jump to
we
the Super
go.
Nintendo received
Yeah,
a
baby.
huge facelift. For our money, Mega Man made the biggest jump.
There
Moving
we
away
go.
from destroying robot men and focusing on kicking robot animal ass, Mega Man X brought forth a plethora of new abilities never before seen in the series, including the ability to bust a cap with a fireball straight out of Street Fighter 2. Making that jump and killing yourself off just to get it? The things we do for the little extras.
Number 7.
Yeah. In fact, that's such a great Easter egg. The Hadouken, just hidden in there. It's so good, so good. And that music, by the way, that's the theme song for the Sigma theme song. When you're at the character select screen, that to me always resonated as just such a badass. It has that like mechanical. Dun, 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 dun,
Dude, I've heard a lot of people do like covers of those with their guitars and stuff on YouTube. That soundtrack is, like you said, badass. That's a perfect word to describe it.
Yeah.
We've only got 7 games left.
Yep.
Super Mario World,
Mm-hmm.
Super Metroid,
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Trigger,
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have Street Fighter in here somewhere.
Street Fighter was already on it.
Was it?
Yeah.
What number was Street Fighter?
Like 12. Remember when I was talking about how slow the original game was? The super.
Okay.
I think it's 12 or 13. Yeah.
Let's see. What else is going to be in here?
Mario RPG, possibly?
No, because he didn't play Mario RPG.
I was not an RPG guy.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Final Fantasy, though? Final Fantasy? Did you have a Final Fantasy in here?
I don't know. I guess.
All right, let's continue.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Hey, if you thought Super Mario 3 was impressive, this made you blow
What?
your load. Rarely does a commercial actually solve the game.
Come on, Craig. 2008, Craig. What are you doing?
2008 Craig is canceled.
Damn it! Get him out of here! Flip your stupid backwards hat.
Not even top 5?
Listen, don't just wait. I don't know.
I hate you from 2008.
Hey, listen. This is the ScrewAttack top 10, not the Stuttering Craig top 10.
Listen,
all right?
Then leave. Oh my God!
In
2008, I had sense.
My choices.
Kick Craig now. Blabs, run the show. We need somebody qualified to talk. Clearly, it's not Craig. There we go.
Hello. Carry on.
Hi. Is Super Mario World in your top 5, Blabs?
I've never played.
Just say yes.
Get out of there! Get her out. Me and Jeremy are running this stream.
Let's run this thing.
But
Super Mario World should be number 1.
Introducing the next generation from Nintendo. New Super Mario World. Created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a bit more exciting, a bit more challenging, a bit more graphic, a bit more colorful, a bit more realistic, a bit more levels, a bit more...
Dude, when you could flip around on there, it was the most coolest thing ever.
A bit cooler, a bit weird, a bit more revolutionary, a bit more Mario.
What a
bit more of what you want.
What a
It's
commercial.
and it's yours.
All right, we guess
New
we'll have
Super
him back
Nintendo.
now.
Now you're playing with power, superpower.
You didn't even try to justify it. He just drops it at 7 and like on to the next one.
Leading up to the commercial, it said this commercial sums it up perfectly. I can't say it any better than the commercial.
Sums up perfectly why it should be 1 or 2.
Well, you don't even know what number 6 is. We don't even know.
It doesn't matter. There's not 6 games better than Super Mario World. God. Anyway.
Number 6.
Let's
This
take
is a
magical
legendary
journey.
one right here.
A journey of a boy, a girl, and a
This
sprite.
one doesn't get mentioned as much as Chrono Trigger, but it's on the same level.
Right.
You know, Chrono Trigger's better, but
Yeah.
Where not only you could play, but so could your friends. That's right, multiplayer. In an RPG? Heck yes! Taking a different approach than traditional turn-based RPG, Secret of Mana used an unconventional ring system for ease, which depending on your style, you either loved or you hated it. We loved it. The only
That
drawback
music,
to Secret of
man.
Mana is that if you want to pick it up nowadays, it's going to cost you upwards towards $70.
Okay, we should probably look. Blabs, can you see how much Secret of Mana is on price charting?
it's probably more than that now.
Oh, I
Yeah, because I'm
guarantee
like,
it's-
Yeah.
it ain't too bad now.
Yeah,
No,
Blabs, let us-
it's still it's pricey.
Yeah, let us know how Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo is. Look for the various prices, Blabs. Let us know.
5.
A totally different change of pace to the Mario series. Super Mario RPG
you
introduced a
did.
number of different characters
Okay.
to the
Remember, this is a ScrewAttack top 10.
Right,
not a
right.
Stuttering Craig top 10.
This is how
We
you
have to
justified
channel
it.
our anger somewhere, Craig. All right.
Yeah.
Yell
yeah.
at me 15 years ago. That's fine. Here you go.
Prey that we never heard from again. Mario had moved away from jumping on Goomba's heads to now attacking, waiting patiently, hoping you don't die, scrolling through your attack options, thinking about what you want to do, and then attacking again. And people loved it, almost as much as G4 loves to air old episodes of Cops.
Number 4.
Damn.
Blabs, do we
I already
have...
know that music. I know that music. Yep.
Hello. I can actually present this to you guys.
No, I don't want to present it. Just tell us.
Oh, well, fine then. Okay, so a loose price would be $45. The complete price, $169.97. A new price, $544. A graded, $16,000, which I think is bananas. Yeah, and it just goes on and on.
Okay.
Okay.
Or the manual for $29.99.
There you go. You buy the book for $30.
Wow.
Thanks, Blabs.
Wow. Thank you, Blabs.
Oh crap! I gotta go back forward. It starts the whole thing over again. Where are we at? Oh no, here we go. There we go. It's better. There we go.
Another RPG? Using its
music.
massive 32 megs of power, Chrono Trigger made gamers say wow the first time they popped it in their Super Nintendo.
Listen to that music.
Let's talk about the awesome points. Innovative fighting system, check. Multiple endings, check. Time travel, check. Busting out crazy-ass double and triple text? You bet your ass. When was the last time you saw a giant frog crush a minion? Hell, they even had a little cameo from a game that may or may not be in the list later on. And the Power Glove. Will we ever see another game in the Chrono series? Unfortunately, it looks like the Chrono Bus has made its last stop.
Let me say something about this.
Such good. His music is amazing, man.
There are people who come up to me today, or they'll tweet me something, and they still ask about the Chrono Bus. The Chrono Bus made it was an appearance in 2 videos, and for some people oh, the Chrono Bus is rolling again or whatever. And it's okay.
Well, if I'm alive in 10 years, I'm gonna come up to you and be like, "You put Super Mario World number 7."
Right. Let's see what number 3 is and see how much it's gonna piss you off.
Oh no.
Oh crap! I restarted it. Here we go.
Well, there's only 2.
Now we know. Here we are. All right, here we go. We're seeing them. I didn't realize I went so forward.
I already know exactly what the top 3 are now. I know what the top 3
Number 4.
Hey, I can listen to this again.
Time ever in Final Fantasy, it looks like the Chrono Bus has made its last stop.
Number 3.
Speaking of music,
I remember the first time I rented Final Fantasy 3 or 6 and realized, what the hell? I can't beat this game in 3 days, and I'm gonna have to rent it again. Shit. Final Fantasy 3 is a hallmark on the Super Nintendo. Multiple plot lines, one of the most badass mofos in video game history, and of course, the opera scene. While Final Fantasy V was remarkable, Final Fantasy VI took everything to a new level. Some argue that this soundtrack is the best in the Final Fantasy series. That is a statement.
Number 2.
Now here is an upgrade.
I know what number
for
1
you.
is.
A link to the past.
Yep.
This is the first time we're actually introduced to a major Zelda storyline. Link fought in both the light and dark worlds in an attempt to foil Ganon's evil plans with the Triforce. Also included for the first time is what might be the most useful weapon in Zelda history, the hookshot. Why use a boomerang when you can just stab a guy from the other side of the screen? Also, don't forget about that badass fairy who upgrades your Master Sword.
Yeah.
Your sword is stronger. You can feel it throbbing in your hand. That's sexual.
All right, there you go. So you guys, obviously, we're not going to say it. Chat, what's number 1?
Dude, as someone who goes by Zeltroid, you got the top 2 right. Jeremy's going to have to hold down the anger for number 7, Mario World, because all is forgiven from me because the top 2 are amazing.
I mean, imagine what the number 1 game could be for a brand called ScrewAttack. I wonder what.
Right?
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
It was so good that they had to name themselves ScrewAttack. That's how it works,
Right.
Yeah, I can't be mad at the top 2.
If you missed the first half of the Super Nintendo Top 20, hey, there's still time. Go back and watch it. But in the meantime, let's recap the top 10 before we get to number 1. Number 10, ActRaiser. Number 9, Yoshi's Island. Number 8, Mega Man X. Number 7, Super Mario World. Number 6, Secret of Mana. Number 5, Super Mario RPG. Number 4, Chrono
Very
Trigger.
RPG
Number
heavy.
3, Final
Very
Fantasy.
RPG heavy.
The Super Nintendo was very RPG.
Yeah, it
heavy.
was. It was.
Besides the PlayStation, it's kind of thought of as the lowest of G's when it comes to and the best place to find RPGs, at least classic RPGs for sure.
Fantasy 6. And number 2, Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Pay attention once again to the use. If there's one thing that ScrewAttack did well, it was I thought we used music really well.
Yeah, I did very good with music.
100%.
Yeah, the way that you would lead in to every one of your video games, and you would use the most iconic music that was attached to that particular game to hook people. It's good stuff.
It was always the title screen or the first level. Very rarely was it in the case of the 7 stars outro, the 7 stars ending. Very rarely, but it was always because most people played everybody heard the title screen. Everybody's played the first level music. Very rarely was it something later.
Yep. Sure.
It's number 1.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
The largest game available at the time at a heaping 24 megs, Super Metroid is the best 2D action adventure ever, let alone on the Super Nintendo. From the opening sequence, you knew that you were in for one thing: greatness. A game that is 100% complete from beginning to end. There's only one word to describe how you feel after playing Super Metroid: satisfied. Whether it was the throwback to the old Metroid levels at the beginning of the game, or going out of your way to save your little buddies at the end to see if little Pixel escaped the exploding planet.
By the way, way before the whole save the animals thing, way before the speedrunning community picked up on that.
Super Metroid left nothing not done. Super Metroid, like any of the games on this list, could easily be considered the best game of all time.
See, we redeemed it at the end right there. And we said, hey, there's 20 games. They could all be the best. It just kind of depends.
The presentation of that of Super Metroid was fantastic. The way,
Samus's thing, it's so good. It's just so fantastic.
It is. Craig, have you played Dread yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, so good.
Dread.
So good.
Like, I don't think Jonny would agree with me because, I mean, I know it's a
I don't fault you for it. I don't fault you for it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, for me, I picked Dread over Super Metroid. I never thought I would pick anything over Super Metroid, and I still think Super Metroid probably the better game, but I just love Dread so much.
I'm not gonna lie though, for me it was the Prime series is another level for me, being in the helmet and experiencing it and the soundtrack of the Prime games. But you're right, I can't fault you for Dread. It's so good. So yes, Craig, played it.
I think that's on the list. There's several games on the list. I need to play RoboCop because you can shoot people on the dick.
Prioritize that one.
I mean, that clearly goes to the top. But yeah, I mean, this is it's amazing how many excellent games are out there that you just don't have an opportunity to play. You know, time is of the essence these days, as they say. But Dread is definitely on that list.
Yep.
Well, shit, man, this has been super duper fun. I love talking old school shit with you guys. I wish Dan was here and he had good internet and good power, but it's that Brazilian power system, you know. Whatever. you get what you vote for. Just saying. But
we in America know right now about that. So.
Yeah, whatever. We got a ton of super chats to read off. You guys have obviously been extremely touched by the Super Nintendo fun that we've talked about today. So thank you guys very much. I will give you guys the opportunity to bounce, and I will read these off in the just because I value your time. If you'd like to take the opportunity, or you guys can stick. It's totally up to you.
I'll hang for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'll stick.
I'm gonna hang for a few more minutes, and I gotta go eat.
Sounds good. Gravy D came in with a member for 7 months. Says, hell yeah, SNES is my favorite console. Let's go. Balls. We talked about Balls 3D, didn't we? And look at that, Zeltroid, who is literally on the show in the upper right corner of your screen with the $9.99 super chat. Holy fuck, says Dan Vasc is gay. So gay, he's not here right now. And way to go. Ron came in and says, let's go. Thank you so much, Ron. Appreciate your resub. Matthew came in with the 199, says, congrats to 55K. Growing and growing. Big ups. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Doing our best. Tomak says, where would you guys rank Sunset Riders for the Super
Sunset?
Nintendo?
Yeah, so shout out Tomak, by the way. Sunset Riders is basically it's like a Western Contra. That's pretty much what it is.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
It's fucking awesome. I would definitely put Sunset Riders near the top for me, just because it's got vibrant colors, it's got ride horses. It's really fucking cool, man. I haven't played it in a long time, but I would love to go back and play Sunset Riders. It's a fantastic game.
So it's top 10 for you.
I would say it's probably top 10 if I really thought about it.
For me, Sunset Riders would be at number 21.
I was a late bloomer on Sunset Riders too. I didn't play it like originally back in the day. Like I was late to the party on that one. So
it was a good one. Jeremy came in at the 5, says, hail the 199, hail CobraCast. Man buns are gays.
Sub to neurotic.
There you go. Get over there. Thanks, Jeremy Warren. We appreciate you, buddy. Raziel came in at the 10, says, Lufia 2 is always my favorite game on the console. Ancient Cave, I could do runs for that for days on end. Probably the first roguelike I ever played, and it's an RPG. Lufia 2, I've heard a lot of good things about it. Once again, never been a big RPG guy, but I've heard a lot of people say like Lufia 2 is like a top 10 RPG for the Super Nintendo, which is a pretty bold statement. So
yeah, and that's me. Like I was never a big RPG person. That's why like Chrono Trigger stood out to me because I wasn't a big RPG fan. But like, dude, Chrono Trigger just was next level. I'm really interested to know Johnny's opinion when he's actually gets a chance to sit down and play through it because
I will.
I think you will love it, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I got to spend some money here in a little bit, which is great. I'm going to need to find a copy of on eBay or something and make sure it gets your way. Tupac's baby leg came in, says sup Dan Vasc. Appreciate that. It means penis. Orthodox monks came in with the quote of the day. Hey Blabs, read it off.
Hey, movie quote of the day. Sometimes a man doesn't know how strong he is until being strong is the only choice he has. Frederick, Turbo Kid.
We're now picking out quotes from Turbo Kid. All right. Thanks, Orthodox monks. Appreciate that. Devin came in and says, I'm missing bragging rights. Any plans for more?
Jeremy.
Maybe soon. Maybe soon.
Clementine came in.
People get what the people want, so we will have to make it happen.
There you go.
It's an annual thing now instead of monthly.
Says it's so nice. It's so nice to have some time to chill with you guys and learn about the Super Nintendo. Your expert story and opinions is priceless. Clementine, thank you very much. That's wonderful, and glad we can share our experiences and our stories with you. Chris came in says, I'm American and always said SNES. SNES purists can step off.
Thank you, Chris, my man.
Chris, you're banned.
I just have places to go, things to do, okay? SNES, okay? God.
Darkside Droids came in and says, Jeremy, Baseball Stars greater than the Super Nintendo.
Baseball Stars is probably the best baseball game ever made. So, did you play Baseball Stars?
Yeah, it's fun.
Fucking amazing, dude.
And don't know if it was like the best baseball game ever
it's
made.
so good, man.
Really fun game. You know?
King Griffey Jr.'s up there, though. King Griffey Jr.'s up there.
Okay, we talk about doing, the nostalgia that you feel around games based around the people that you played with. I played King Griffey Jr. and I spent a summer playing King Griffey Jr. baseball and Super Metroid with my buddy down the street, Mike Savinsky, which is like the best name of a friend you can possibly have, Mike Savinsky. That was like 6th, 7th, 8th grade year, something like that. It was great. Orthodox Monk says, would you like soup or Nintendo with your entree?
Nintendo.
See what you did. This Super
take both.
Nintendo. I think he's making fun of how I speak. Dan says, my first Super Nintendo game I've ever played when I was 2 years old was Super Mario Kart. My mom got the system. There's so many awesome games. Love Super Mario World, Star Fox, and Contra 3. Dan, you know what you're talking about. Nodding came in with the 10. It says Christmas 92. I was 3 years old. Changed my life forever. I have a large percentage of my favorite games are SNES. SNES is the holy grail of gaming. Thanks for doing the show. More content like this, please. Thank you, Nodding. Appreciate that. I love it. Christmas 92. I was 3 years old. It's like he's narrating the wonder years over here. Orthodox Monk says SNES had Earthbound and Blackthorn. Let's go. Blackthorn, once again, another underrated one. Maticus Finch came in with the 5. Says, hi, Craig, slightly off topic, but I still have my copy of Ridge Racer long box I got from Game Attack for $4.95. I miss your game store. Hail panel. Yeah, man. Did you guys know I owned a video game store for a while?
Did not.
Yeah, I owned a video game store called Game Attack, and it was fun. It was a good experience. I'm glad it was done.
Yeah, I found out on Twitter when I tagged him and Dan. I said, me and Dan and Craig should open a video game store, retro. And he goes, fuck you. I've done that before, but good luck.
Listen, there is no money in retro video game stores. I promise you that. If you want to have a great place to hang out, man, open a video game store. But if you don't, it's not there, man. It wasn't there 10 years ago. It's not there now. Ricardo, thank you so much for coming with that super sticker. Really appreciate that. SBZ came in with the 5. Says, Millennial here. I once asked in a chat, what does it mean to blow on the cartridge? Feeling old yet? I do find classic games are more fun than modern games. Well,
I have to ask you guys related to that. Do any of you guys have like nostalgia tied to the smell of alcohol? Because of like with the Q-tips and everything, sounds
like a you problem, buddy.
Dude, I love it.
Smell of gasoline.
Like somebody in the chat backed me up because you had to get the rubbing out, and they told you on the back of the cartridges not to do it, but it's the only way you can make the game work. So it's like you get the Q-tips, the rubbing alcohol, and just I love it.
I will never forget, like, whenever the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo, whenever you'd have people over and you're like, oh, we're gonna play this game, and you'd put it in and then it wouldn't play, and then I'd pull the cartridge out and I'd blow them and I'd put it back in and work. I'm like,
But that didn't always work.
what's up?
You
No,
didn't
but you
use the
felt like a
Q-tips.
badass when it worked.
Yes.
You felt like a badass when
You
it
tell
worked.
your friend you didn't blow it right.
Yeah, you're like, let me show you. All right.
Yeah.
Never did you know the jokes that you were going to be getting from your friends later in life. You're like, remember, you really blew very good, Jeremy.
I was like 8 years old, man.
Wow.
Oh,
Things I
man.
missed.
Why does Craig keep disappearing
Yeah,
like
I don't
that?
know what he's an odd pigeon.
I don't
Yeah.
think he wants to be on screen when me and Jeremy are talking about this topic.
bromance.
No, here it is right here.
The bromance of blowing. Oh. Do it again.
There you go. That's the sound for everybody. And did you actually see there was actually dust actually flew out of that when I blew it?
I believe it. Yeah. You never knew what was going to fly out of that.
Hey, super glove ball. Let's go. All right. Orthodox Monks came in with the 2. Says, Sega Genesis heads needs to try Splatterhouse 2.
I found Dan.
Look, that damages the cartridge. Don't do that.
What's the alternative? A lot of times it just wouldn't work.
No, the Q-tip is the right thing to do. Don't blow on it like your spit will make it.
I don't think you know what
Dan
you're
has
talking
a
about.
technique to blowing, okay?
Yeah.
No, you
Dan-
don't blow at all. Don't blow the cartridge.
Dan's over here
Don't
going
do
like,
it.
you grab it right here and you.
Yeah,
You gotta cup it real good. Blake says, "Shout out
That's
to Secret
right.
of Evermore, hidden Super Nintendo Jim." Let's go, Blake. Appreciate you, man. My boy Yellow Flash came in. Yellow Flash, we need to get you on a panel like this. Is Yoshi's Island greater than DKC by a mile?
Whoa.
Nah.
Hot
It's
take.
good, but nah, that's too much.
Hot take.
You went too far.
Took it too far.
Hey, my penis hurts came in with the $9.99. Says, I recently got Hook on the Super Nintendo in the mail, fully intact with game, box, manual, and poster. Oh man, that's great. The nostalgia
Nice.
hits hard with this game, but damn, it's hard. You guys ever play Hook on the Super Nintendo?
Yep.
Did you?
Yeah,
Like the
it's
real
hard.
version?
Oh, what do you mean real version?
Okay, no, you
It
didn't.
might have been a pirated version from my rental store, but it was still the same game.
Right. Dan Evil Robot Dan came back and says, "Here's my favorite SNES games: is Donkey Kong Country, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, Mega Man X, Zelda: Link to the Past, F-Zero, Gradius 3, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and Super Metroid." Man,
Yeah, good
I had
list.
no idea that people would consider Zombies Ate My Neighbors as one of their favorite games on the system.
It's like the
Yeah,
perfect co-op
Absolutely.
game.
It's a fantastic game. I mean, I would never put it like in the it's a fun game. I wouldn't call it like a objectively great game. You know what I mean? But it's just so fun, and there's so much nostalgia around that game.
Jose Ataco says, "I feel bad for Dan. He played those games in PAL." Yeah.
Not at all. Brazil is and it is NTSC. NTSC too. PAL is only over on Europe and Japan, right? Japan is PAL.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
A mercenary says, "Had to get a used copy of Mario RPG. Mine was stolen." Do you guys ever have any games stolen from you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Wasn't
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, we had this weird thing where we let like a friend borrow a bunch of games and then he passed away. So it was like, that's what happens with those physical copies. If you have them digitally always, but yeah, that was a horrible day where it was like, I wasn't even allowed to feel bad that like half of my SNES library was gone because we lost a friend.
Wow.
But yeah, it's awful.
By the way,
Yeah,
I'm
I
being
was the sort of
corrected.
kid that never lended games to anyone.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of how I felt after several experiences of losing SNES games.
I'm being corrected. Japan is NTSC, not
Okay,
not
so
PAL.
it's only Europe.
Yeah, those idiots. Blake came in. It says Street Fighter 2 wasn't the best fighting game. Shaq Fu was.
Shaq Fu, baby.
Joe says SNES had great beat 'em ups. Turtles 4, Batman Returns, Final Fight 1 through 3, Super Double Dragon, Rival Turf, Power Rangers, Battletoads, and Double Dragon. Yeah, all good.
Final
Which-
Fight.
Power Rangers.
Final Fight
There's
was
Power.
awesome.
There's Power Rangers, and there's the funniest title ever. Power Rangers, the movie, the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Both are good. Both are
Yeah.
good.
Battletoads and Battle Maniacs. That is the one I like, where that's basically like the redone version of the original for the NES, but it just looks better. Like, God, I love that one. Everybody talks about Double Dragon, but I like Battle Maniacs.
Big Raj came in with the 10, says for anyone that has a working SNES, I would recommend getting a flash card and downloading some great Japanese games that have been translated over the years. Front Mission Gun Hazard is great. Never heard of it. Thanks, Big Raj. Really appreciate the support today. Mercenary came back, says my first SNES game was UN Squadron, Capcom as well. Let's go, Mercenary. Excellent game. Thaddeus says, please show Falnix, the greatest cover of all time. Do you guys know this cover?
No.
No, he has ever seen it.
Maybe I do.
Okay, I will show it. It makes zero sense at all. Let's see. The cover art itself makes zero sense, especially considering it's a shoot 'em up game. Here it is right here.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. If you know, you know. If you've seen it, but it's a shoot 'em up game that makes zero sense. Having an old hillbilly with
What the heck?
The hyperspeed shootout in space.
I want it now. I want it.
Imagine that, complete in box.
Somebody bring that to bragging rights. You'll win that.
That's what the game looks like. Here's the cover art. Here's the game.
This is
cover
the
art,
pilot.
game. Like, makes zero sense at all.
It's the pilot.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like Independence Day. What's his face? Quaid. Is that his
Dennis.
name?
Yeah, Quaid. Yeah.
Dennis
Absolutely.
Quaid.
Jonathan Bordeaux came in with the 5. Says in honor of Mario RPG on Switch tomorrow, what SNES games do you guys want to see remastered on the Switch? Ooh.
Chrono Trigger.
Super Metroid and Link to the Past. 100%.
Zombies ate my neighbors. with
What do you mean by
multiplayer.
remaster? By the way, what do you mean by remaster? Because we say remaster a lot when we actually mean remake.
Well, I mean, you could remaster something like that and make it just run even smoother and make it a lot more vibrant with the graphics and stuff like that. If you wanted.
But the thing is, you don't need a lot of remasters for SNES because the games are already ran pretty good in terms of performance. But I think actually people mean remake when they say remaster. Something that is done with Mario RPG, for example, that is a remake. The game's being redone from the ground up, and I think good games that would benefit from remakes. Pretty much most of the games that we talked about here. Of course, it's not necessary because those games are already like fantastic pieces of art. But Chrono Trigger, man, we almost got one for the PS2. We almost got a Chrono Trigger remake for the PS2.
Yeah, they already did it with Link's Awakening, so that's why I'm thinking Link to the Past.
Something in the lines of Link's Awakening would be really cool for a Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Sal came in, says Clock Tower, one of the best games we never got in the US. Yeah, you know, that's the
Is that
scary
the adventure?
one. No, it's like a scary game. I tried playing it once on a stream. I mean, people like drool over that game. It was a Japanese game that was. I think you can find translations for it online.
I think it released for MS-DOS. I think I remember that game on PC.
I think you may be right. That's true. Says, hang on, you Americans didn't get Earthbound?
They got Earthbound, but it was in Japan. It was called Mother, and when Craig showed Mother 2, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
You guys didn't get. Brazilians also didn't get Mother 2 and 3.
Goji says, I love this. Is the only time this has ever been said. I loved Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City.
Oh, I loved that game. That game was amazing.
Really?
Is that the entire
Yes.
title of the game?
Like, okay, when I say it's amazing, like
Wow.
it's, I'm not gonna sit here and say that like it's Super Mario World or something, but like it was fucking cool, man. It was really cool.
And back then, it was like the only way you could play as Michael Jordan because he had that licensing on his image. So any other game you couldn't play as MJ. So.
Yeah.
Oh, a little correction here about the Earthbound talks. The chat corrected me and I looked it up. Earthbound, what is to us Earthbound, is Mother 2. So we didn't get Mother 1 and 3. We got Mother 2, which was called Earthbound here.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Mercenary came in and says, I sent on SideScroller's Twitter pictures of mine. All right, Mercenary, thank you. Blaz will take a look at that.
I already got them pulled up, Faith, if you want to.
Cool. You got it pulled up right now?
Yep.
Bam. Check it out.
So this is Mercenary. So you got Xbox,
Nice.
Wow.
Stanley. I'm not sure what that is.
That was Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls.
Pokemon.
Nice.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Mercenary. Appreciate that.
Awesome.
Dan says my favorite movie licensed Super Nintendo games. My favorite movie licensed Super Nintendo games of all time to me. It's the Super Star Wars games. Thanks, Dan. They are good. They're just extremely hard.
My hot take is I would have had Empire in my top 10. Like I like love those games. I'm always weirded out.
See, this is really easy to do. You can just pop them out whenever they start talking.
Do you not like it? I don't understand. Were you that bad you couldn't get past like the snow level?
He made Super Mario World 7, and he's going to talk about somebody else's opinions.
Star Wars is bad.
Dan, what did you think about this? Super Mario World 7.
Yeah, it's egregious. It's atrocious. And how amazing it is that you live in a country with free speech that you're allowed to put Mario World in 7th. It's a pretty amazing country when you're allowed to do something like that. So,
well, listen, I'm almost tired of this nonsense. All right, remember, I was just the presenter in this situation. All right, this is a group effort, and if you want to dogpile me, that's fine. I'll take it for the team. That's fine. That's fine. Ridiculous. Orthodox Monk says SNES and Genesis both
SNES
both share one of the Shaq's greatest accomplishments. Shaq Fu, baby. That's right. Picasso came in as a member for 3 months. Says, I love this type of show. Hall, everyone.
Hall.
Hall.
Thanks, Picasso. Bowser's Fury says, I cannot get over Earthbound not being on here.
Man, everybody's
You heard
mad.
him. Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch.
As we complain about Mario World being
100%. Right. That's right. There you go. Seaman Nader coming in says, talking about Super Metroid, says, it's female lead game. Eat your heart out, Hollywood. That's right. Been doing it for a long time. Marty came in.
Tomac messaged me and said Sunset Riders got a PSN port. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to look into that.
Sunset Riders. Marty says, love the voice work in the video. Sound like you had fun with it. Yeah, that's classic ScrewAttack stuff right there. I like to do voice work. It's fun. Gelden came in and says, where'd Earthbound go on the SNES top 10 today?
I didn't play much Earthbound, so I can't really give a strong opinion on it.
I never played it ever.
It's a good game. It wouldn't make my top 10, but it's a great game.
Well, listen. Don't be a bitch if it's not in your top 20. That's all. That's the one thing we've learned. Darian came in and says, when is the new Contra game coming out? Yeah, do you know they're making it? We're going to play. Yeah, Jeremy, we're going to play that together, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right. Alan came in with a $19.99. Thank you very much, Alan. Says, good morning, everyone. No coffee this morning, but I'm teabagging. All right, sounds good. Since I also do that in video games, all hail side scrollers. Let's go, Alan. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support today, buddy. Scarfy came in and says, first Asterix and Obelix, now Mario 4. Listen, do you guys know who Asterix and Obelix is? Do you have any idea who that is?
Yeah, it's a French comic.
Yeah, you're the one. You're the one who knows who it is. Outside of everybody in Europe.
There's a great French movie, by the way.
Yeah. Shut up, Dan. You're not proving my point.
What?
us stupid Americans don't know who Asterix and Obelix is. Scarfy came in and says, I glitched Final Fantasy 3 to have 99 of every item, including several stacks of 99 Luminous Sword. The sword you'd have to wager the Ragnarok sword for. Well, sounds fun, Scarfy. That sounds like a pretty good glitch or mod. Nice job, Scarfy. Kyle came in with the $4.99. Says, I've tasted the cartridge of a Switch. Tastes gross. Don't judge me. I was curious because IGN brought it up.
Yep.
How could you not try it? How
Yeah.
could you not taste it?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that going around.
That's a brilliant move, though, by Nintendo.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I said that on bragging rights, and Jeremy got mad at me because he thought people would be swallowing cartridges because of our show.
Yes. I was like, shut the fuck up, Dan. You know, I get enough hate online as it is.
Jeremy's like, no one licked those cartridges.
Well, Jeremy has a lot of faith in the intelligence of his audience, apparently. So.
Hey, I have a lot of faith in the haters to clip something out and find something.
Yeah, then they find some kid that swallowed it.
Exactly.
They were watching bragging rights. They were watching Geeks and Gamers. See.
Jeremy, I know you're going to go grab some lunch, and I want to give you an out to do that. But before you do, I want to let you know that I just received a text that I thought you'd really be interested in. I'm going to read it for you really quick.
Okay.
It says, "Friend, it's Kamala. How do you take your coffee? Cream or sugar? Black? I'm asking because we're offering an all-expense paid trip for you and a guest to grab coffee with Joe and me. I got a spam thing to donate to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's campaign. So how should I respond?
There you go.
You should respond with "Let's go, Brandon." That's what you should say right there. You should say "Let's go, Brandon." With that, I'm gonna bounce. This has been fantastic. Really appreciate you guys inviting me, and yeah, I'd definitely like to do it more. And yeah, when we get bragging rights back rolling, we'll get Craig involved. I mean, how could you not have Craig involved in that? So, but yeah, thank you so much. Shout out to the chat for all your enthusiasm. Love seeing everybody talk about their favorite Super Nintendo games. Retro gaming is the best. It takes us back to a better time. So appreciate all of you. Thank you. Hail side scrollers.
All right, buddy. See you later.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Care, man.
All right, obviously, go check out if you guys. I'm sure you guys have. Make sure you guys go check out G&G. Jeremy's home over there, which is great. Let's continue with these super chats, guys. Once again, you guys appreciate y'all's support. Thanks for hanging with us. If you're new, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We'll be back with a regular show tomorrow. Blabs, thanks for hanging with us a little bit longer than usual. Alan came in with the $9.99. Says nostalgia is a hell of a drug. There's actually a vintage video game and comic book store down the street. I took my cousins and I told them this is the Trap House.
Yeah, that would be like a black hole for my wallet.
Scarpy says, remember level maps in magazines? Remember passwords? Yeah, man. Good times. Good times with level maps. Eddie came in, says, a niche game for me is Top Gear on the Super Nintendo. Off topic, the icon I'm using is the car you signed at SGC 2010. Let's go, Eddie. Nice. I recall that back in the day. There you go.
Very underrated. Very underrated game and one of the best soundtracks on a racing game ever made.
I don't disagree. Got a few more to go. If you want to get in, now's your chance. Torgo says Chrono Trigger is in the style of Octopath Traveler. Interesting, Torgo.
Not a bad idea.
Jose Otaku says the best version of Chrono Trigger is Nintendo DS. Ooh,
yeah, it has the anime cutscenes from the PS1, and it also has a couple different endings added to the already tons of endings that the original has.
Johnny, when you find a copy of Chrono Trigger, send me a link, okay?
Okay.
I'll get it ordered for you.
Okay.
Orthodox Monk says, are there any Demon Crest players out there? Oh, let's go.
Yeah. It's awesome.
That's like a top 40-ish. You know, that's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like a top 20.
Yeah, it's a hidden gem. Yeah.
Gun Puncher says no Natsume love, not including Pocky or Rocky or the Ninja Warriors or Wild Guns is absolutely criminal. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Natsume. They also did the farming game. I'm blanking on it. The farming simulator.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it off the top.
Why am I blanking?
Because we've been talking for over 2 hours about retro games, and there's lots of games.
Yeah, my brain's bugging.
Hey, but
Harvest Moon.
There you go. Speaking of Wild Guns, Ninja Warriors, Pocky and Rocky, Legend of the Mystical Ninja, these are all games that were not. This just once again, if a game's not on a list, just realize that means the list is so strong and the game catalog is so strong.
It is a ridiculously strong catalog. It's nuts.
Molly's mom wants everyone to know to go work out. Thanks, Molly's mom. Appreciate it.
Already did.
And dude over on Roble says, I was barely born when the Super Nintendo was released here. Still remember waking up in the middle of the night to play DKC since we only had one TV at the time. Oh, love that. That's a great story. Dude followed up with says, SNES on Switch Online has the ability to play others online. Time to put up or shut up. I have put up and shut up. I've dominated SNES Mario Kart Online. Says he followed up with one more. Says I don't even have Super Mario World in the top 3 platformers: DKC 2, DKC 1, Yoshi's Island, DKC 3, and then Super Mario World. Ooh, man, some fighting words right there. To Johnny over here, who's ready to kick some ass.
Yes.
Shane says I remember renting Action 52 on the Sega Genesis. Only if I had known how bad it was, where it didn't ruin a weekend for me. The AVGN episode is a great one on Action 52. Thank you, Shane.
I remember that episode.
Kratos O'Grados says, Mario Kart 8 is great because it doesn't need a sequel. They just keep adding content to it. Yes, Shane. And then he followed up with says, unpopular opinion for the day, Star Fox Adventures is a good game. # come at me, bro.
I agree.
Remake of Star Fox, 100%. Correct?
No. Star Fox Adventures was the game. It was originally supposed to be Dinosaur Planet. It was the action adventure game that had like almost Legend of Zelda type vibes to it. It was a fantastic game. It's just we wanted more Star Fox 64 with GameCube GameCube graphics, and we got that instead. So it took us a while to warm up to it, but it's a great game.
I think their mistake was putting the Star Fox brand too prominent on the title. It should have been in the title, but make it at the end of the title or something like that. The subtitle or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
With a lot of these things, it's like a thing about timing, like Wind Waker. Wind Waker is a wonderful Zelda game, but people wanted Ocarina of Time too.
And so after that CGI trailer too.
Right. So if they had done Twilight Princess first, we would have been more open to Wind Waker. But they did Wind Waker, so we hated it at that time, and it's grown on us since. So it's kind of like that.
Cell shading was kind of a new thing, and it was received sort of like, hey, looks like a kid's thing.
And it's held up the best out of all the graphical art styles back then. Dude wants to know, Metroid Funathon win? Probably not for a good while. I think after this Funathon, we're going to be good. Shane says, what? This list didn't have Mega Man Soccer? This list is fake news. Hashtag cancel Craig. Good old Mega Man Soccer. Kratos came back, says, respond to the text with an inappropriate GIF. Google unnecessary censorship GIFs. It's a gold mine. Thank you, Kratos. Kratos, appreciate that. And of course, let's head over to Twitch. Says Krabs came in as a Prime member for 6 months. Says, I'm calling him out. Craig has never watched the Lord of the Rings movies. This is true. Brightburns came in with the 100 bits. Says, hey, Craig, Jeremy, I have probably something you two don't have. The analog Super NT. I bought it 2 years ago before analog discontinued it. Unfortunately, to buy it, I had to feed a scalper. And this is what he was talking about.
Yeah, you guys know the Super Analog NT?
No,
Jonny?
What is this?
It's a Super Nintendo clone system that it's made with actual Super Nintendo parts. It's not emulation, and it outputs in a HDMI. It's you can plug it directly on your modern TV without the need of upscalers.
Nice. Crazy T came in with 100 bits. Crazy, good to see you. Says, Lester the Unlikely sucked ass. My bro and I, as kids, played it and made us laugh. Thank you, Crazy T. Appreciate you. And then Brightburns came back with another 200 bits. This is off topic, but have you guys ever gone back and watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie? Because there's a song in the film that sounds like something core porn music. The singer sings "Action Boy Now, Action Girl Now." No, have not, and thank you for sharing that uncomfortable moment. Matthew came in with the $4.99. Says Shigeru Miyamoto's birthday yesterday. What?
Really?
He's 71.
Yep.
What an influential person on the list. Yes.
What a weird coincidence that we're doing that today.
Well, is it really? I don't know. Maybe the Lord put it together.
That.
Yeah.
All right, look, we spent 2 hours and 16 minutes talking about the Super Nintendo and hanging out with you guys, and this has been a very fun adventure. Jonny, I appreciate you taking time out of your trip that you're on, and please tell your wife and in-laws and all that stuff. We appreciate you allowing us to do this.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you very much for hanging out with us down in Brazil. We know things are crazy down there right now, and you probably avoiding some bombs and stuff as we see, because it's just chaos over there.
Absolutely, yeah. They just got a drug dealer threatening me over the window right there. So
nonstop.
Hey,
but stay safe down there, Dan, and congratulations on 900,000 subscribers.
Thanks, man.
God,
subscribe to Dan Vasc.
No joke, man. We got to get him to 100, get him to 1 million before Nerdrotic, right? Is that the idea?
Yes, that's the bet. Yeah.
How
I
close
lose,
is it?
He's like 15,000 behind me.
Oh, really? Not that much. It could be made up.
So I thought
you better start pumping out some good shit.
Yeah, I thought during the Marvel's whole debacle that he would pass me, but it doesn't seem like it. So let's see. Maybe when the second season of what is that shitty Lord of the Rings show called? Rings of Power.
When
that comes out,
shut up.
When that comes out, he will probably pass me. So I need to I need
You
to
better get
run.
on it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to be back here in a little bit. I'm going to go an hour of power today from 2 to 3, and I'm going to play. I'm playing Mega Man 8. I'm on Dr. Wily's Castle, which apparently is one of the hardest levels in the game. It's like super difficult. I'm going to do it over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel, so I'm going to invite you guys to head over there and subscribe. The link is down below. It's at Side Scrollers Plays. It's a totally separate channel from this channel. It's where we do all our gameplay stuff. It's where we do our live streams in the afternoon. Pretty much me. Occasionally Dan will join. And but yeah, so we got going on. Appreciate you guys popping in. Jonny, thank you again. Dan, thank you. Blads, thanks for hanging out. And thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. You guys, this type of show doesn't happen without your support. Thank you guys again. Dude came in with one more rant at the end. Says analog consoles using FPGA chips that are programmed to act like OG hardware. It's why they are expensive, but they shoot for 100% compatibility. Thank you, dude.
That's right.
That. All right. The Super Nintendo will never die. It is the best ever. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in a little bit over on the Plays channel for an hour of power on Mega Man 8. Then we're back again tomorrow. Back at it again, 11 a.m. Central Time for a regular episode of Side Scrollers with Melanie Mack. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got that goal. Go get it. See you guys later.